Oh my goodness, you didn't even see that gameplay at the end because I switched. Because I opened Umineko. That's so funny, actually. We won. I had no idea. Okay. Okay, here we go. Do that. Let's get the game audio over to Umineko. And then we're gonna turn off music and embrace Umineko. And let me press start. And then I'm trying to figure out a way to put me. Oh, wait, load. We're here. I believe we're here. Ah! Oh, yeah, we stopped here. Okay, so the adults are sort of having a meeting about what they're gonna do after father passes. Who's an asshole? Let me just sort of double check what's going on. Hideyoshi, give it a rest, Eva. Listen, Eva's a bitch, but I love her. Like, I know we're bullying this poor woman who definitely is holding the emotional weight of the family together. But, like, Eva's funny, you know? And at least she's nice to staff. She is not. Hideyoshi tried to smooth things over by glancing at both with a forced smile, but it only resulted in making the hostility between Eva and Natsuhi even more intense. It seems I'll get in the way if I stay any longer. Oh, are you just gonna be like, they're not fist fighting because I'm here? So you're just gonna leave? Okay, man. Nanjo rose from his seat and exited the parlor. To an outsider, it may have seemed like a normal act of courtesy, but his back was watched by several glances envious of his ability to escape. After the doctor had exited and his footsteps had disappeared into the distance, Kraus recrossed his legs. I mean, I guess we know that he's giving nothing to his kin. Are you gonna kill him? Rosa? I like Rosa. She's a murderer? Oh. Never mind. Not a murderer. Maybe. If I know anything about when they cry, everyone's gonna kill someone. Everyone is gonna kill anyone at some point. Though I don't even know if there's a time loop. Though, judging by how quickly this day is going, I think, and I say quickly, we've streamed 6 hours, and it's been maybe 6 hours of reading. That's not true. Maybe like 3 hours of reading. But like, this thing's like longer than all of Harry Potter combined. So like there's probably a time loop. unless it's a different, like, perspective every time. Though, that would make no sense. Battler's outside right now. Well, shit. Maybe I'm bad at this.
それはいつでもいいことだけれども、お父様の具合が悪くなっていて、その日が近づいているというなら。
Shit's gonna break out when they realize they're not in the will. But they're all individually wealthy as well.
先に話だけしておいても、それは請求とは言わないと思うし。
Rosa shot a glance at Eva and Rudolph. As the youngest sibling in the family, it was hard for her to be cross-examined by the eldest.
ほう、それはお前の本心かね。兄弟で一番素直で綺麗な心を持っていたお前がそんなことを言い出すとは思えんね。
She can be practical.
そこの二人に吹き込まれたんじゃないのかね。
Hey, she's her own independent woman. Yeah.
よせよ、兄貴。
I forgot he was in the room. This is my least favorite character, and I don't even think it's close. Like, and there are bad people. We are introduced to him having just come back from jacking off in an airport bathroom. Maybe.
ローザだって兄弟だぜ。親父の遺産に公平な権利がある。
No one's in the inheritance though.
関心を持つのは当然じゃねえか。親父だっていつかは必ず死ぬし、それは遠い未来の話でもない。
Well?
むしろ兄貴が悠長すぎるくらいさ。
Ooh. I mean, I doubt it's the same, like, connection with Higurashi, but, like, maybe there's a Higurashi symptom-esque thing, and, like, the grandfather would be Rika in this case, so him dying would, like, make the family go crazy. Though they're pretty close to losing it already.
まるで遺産分配から話をそらしたくて仕方がないように見えるぜ。
This is kind of a bad place for my camera. I'm gonna move me up. That's better. Top corner.
話は聞いておくなれ。
She's just been like this the whole time. She's just been aghast the whole time.
兄さん、今は大変強気だそうじゃない？そうよね。去年以降、空前の好景気で円は上がる一方。
Okay.
ドルが100円に至るのだって夢物語じゃなさそうよ。それに与党は来年頃に保養地整備法を成立させようっていうじゃない。
I'm trying to think about why that matters to her. Cause like her husband is business. But I didn't think did they say he was in the hotel business? Well, resort business?
今や日本中のリゾート開発会社がどれだけ軍資金を集められるかって奔走してるところよ。
Or maybe I could continue and she'll just tell me why it's important to her.
詳しいじゃないか。
Oh, other people are confused why it's important to her. Great. I thought I missed something.
これから日本には空前の好景気が訪れる。親父殿が後宮家を再興した時と同じくらいの大規模な需要拡大の時代
Look at how cute she is. Baby girl. What do you think? You certainly seem to know a lot about Japan, about its experiences. Oh! Yeah.
日本国民は死に物狂いで働き、高度経済成長を実現して世界で一番豊かな国民となり、 我が世の春を謳歌するようになった。国民の消費は増大し、それを回収できる施設があぶく銭を手にする時代になったのだよ。今や国民のニーズは3種の電化製品ではない。
Okay.
スキー場、ゴルフ場、総合プール。
Well, I wouldn't say that, like, on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I don't necessarily think golf courses are there. And, like, I go to the public pool sometimes. No one, like, everyone would much prefer a private pool. Like, let's be real.
リゾートホテルにテーマパーク。
Japan does have good theme parks. When was Tokyo, Disneyland established? Because this is 86, right? Or is it
数
84?
年前に開業したデルゼニーランドには行ったかね。
It's one of those two. Oh. Have you gone to Disneyland? Well, we just opened a few years ago. Wow. Man, if only I just kept pressing space.
素晴らしい遊園地じゃないか。
He'll just tell me the exposition I need.
あそこでは大人も童心に帰り家族で楽しむことができるんだ。
Disney.
かつて家族を顧みずにメッシ奉公することだけが美徳だった時代はもはや終わろうとしている。
Okay.
我々は世界で一番豊かな国民としてようやくそれを享受できるようになったのだよ。
You're the most prosperous people in the world?
クラウス兄さんの読みは大したもんや。
I don't think it's, like, crazy to think, assuming well, I guess it's the 80s, so maybe it is crazy to think, because when was, like, the Renaissance era of Disney films? It was... No, they're in the Renaissance era at this point. Like, I think it's a safe bet to be like, Disney just came out with The Big Mermaid, and it's time, it's just gonna keep going up. I don't think that's like a crazy foresight thing. I think you're giving him too much credit, Hideyoshi. I do.
わしも数年前に聞いたときはそんなアホなと思ったわ。
I swear to God, if they bring up the Renaissance of Disney.
G5 のプラザ合意聞いてから変わったんや。
Wait, this is actually... Wait a minute. Guys, I know about this. I studied politics. I studied American relations with Singapore, but I know about the G. This is good. This is good for me, guys. This is good for me. This is... But it's the G7. Like... Was it? Like... No. Oh, okay. So this is confusing because modernly G5 is BRICS, but in this time G5 is just the G7 nations before they added what countries came later? Italy and Canada. Okay, so this is just like... Okay, noted. I'm trying to flex my political science degree. And I'm just like, that's just bricks. Oh, this is actually right around the time the Asian nations tried to establish a bank, but the United States quashed it because they were like, we're not a part of it. And it's like, well, you're not in Asia. But that's a whole other thing. The United States is like, well, Russia's a part of it. And it's like, well, yeah, Russia's in Asia. sorry.
日本は世界経済
I'm
の
off.
中心になる日も遠くはない。
I'm off on a tangent. But I think this might come into play, though this does just take over a course of a day. So maybe the fact that the I think it was like the East Asian Reserve Fund being shut down.
兄さんは時代を見る目のあるお人や。それだけは間違いないで。
Mm-hmm.
秀吉兄さんに同じだ。
I'm just excited that any of those classes are coming in handy right now.
兄貴は10年越しで時代を読めてるよ。その嗅覚は親父譲りだろうね。大したもんだぜ。
I don't think that's
だが
accurate.
親父と違ってちょいと見通しのタイミングを読み違っちまったところはあるよね。
And you know, my knowledge is so vast, it is just helping me predict the next line of dialogue.
兄さんは必ず日本が好景気を迎えると信じてあちこちにリゾート計画を起こし、そのほとんどで失敗し続けたわ。兄さんの読み通りの時代は確かに訪れつつあるけど、その時期を読むことには失敗したわね。
No, baby girl. Let's talk. I should just
早すぎたのよ。そして焦って生産して結局は傷口を広げたわ。
Yeah, Japan does have an economic boom in the 90s.
本当に嗅覚が当てになって好景気が訪れることを読めていたなら生産するわけない。
Ooh. I love Eva. She is just like a sniper with
これって兄さんが自分で自分の才能を信じてない証拠じゃないの？
Usagi. What are your thoughts?
失礼な。
She has had this expression this whole conversation. And also, we know Eva's rude, just it's a part of her personality and we love her for it, right, Usagi? No, she wants to lay back down.
主人を侮辱するつもりですか？
Yes. Natsuki's forehead creased as she rose from the sofa. Eva, paying this no heed, stared at Kraus with a confident smile. Kraus, who also maintained his confident appearance, told Natsuki to sit down. Oop.
よさないか夏日。昔からこういう言い方しかできないやつだ。
I said it was just part of Eva's personality.
少し落ち着きなさい。また頭痛に触る。
You know, yeah.
兄さんに才能がない証拠は私たちのすぐ近くにもあるわよ。
Eva, you cannot keep twisting the knife like this.
だって兄さん、この島をリゾート化するって張り切ってたじゃない？
But as we just discovered, Tokyo Disney is taking off.
素敵なリゾートホテルも建てて、庭園もきれいに整備して。
They're gonna develop Universal Japan.
私は素人だから分かりかねるけど、相当のお金を使ったんでしょ。
Ooh.
だからなんだというのですか？
No, she got angrier. Did she get angrier looking? She looks a little angrier.
主人の事業はあなたとは関係ありません。
Well, it actually is. You're talking about divvying up their shared father's wealth among you. And she's maybe a little worried that some of it might be going into a sinkhole. I mean, little do you know you're getting none of
い
it,
いや、
but...
そいつは違うぜ、夏木さん。六軒島は兄貴のものじゃない。
I should just press space.
親父のものだ。 もちろん建てたホテルは兄貴のものだぜ。なんなら俺たちは今夜の宿泊料を払ってやってもいいさ。な、ローザ。
それはまあ持ち合わせで足りるなら。
リゾート化できれば
What?
この島の資産価値は上がる。
Okay. I don't.
支出がかさんだことは事実だが、未来に大きな収穫を期待できる。そうなれば結果的にお前たちにとっても有益なはずじゃないか。
I don't know. Is this yours or did you put this under your dad's name? Because if not, you're all gonna share the fall too.
この島の価値が上がればそれを遺産分配する時の私たちの取り分も増えるもの。
And then if I press space, is she gonna say if it decreases, it will also diminish our inheritance? Is that if I press space, is that what it is? Is it gonna say what I just said?
もちろん島や屋敷を4分の1ずつ切り取れとは言わないわ。
Thank God.
それを算定したお金で解決してくれればいいだけの話よ。
Okay, let me hug a pillow because my arms are
そ
cold.
こまで分かっているなら私の事業に何の不満があるんだね。
不満じゃねえさ。不安なのさ。
You are trying to compete with Delsney.
第一兄貴。あのホテル、いつになったら開業するんだ？
Also, this isn't really a resort.
このままじゃ俺たちの手垢だらけになっちまうぜ。
そうよ。
Okay.
大切な商売道具でしょ。確かに開業するまでずっと鍵をかけておくわけにもいかないわよね。
Okay.
少しは使って風通しを良くしないと建物は傷んじゃうもの。
I mean, yeah?
でも私たちが年に一度泊まるだけのゲストハウスって言うんじゃちょっと豪勢すぎやしないかしら。
Okay.
ねえローザ。
そうね。
I keep forgetting she's in the room. I'm gonna be super honest.
あんなに素敵ならオープンしたらさぞや人気が出るでしょうね。
I like Rosa, and I like her daughter, whose name is escaping me right now. I like them, and I'm sure they're going to be the most important people later, because right now they're giving background character. But I do keep forgetting she's in the room.
ああ、
I take all of that back. I forgot Kieri was here.
あなたが前に言ってたホテルってゲストハウスのことだったのね。
立派なもんだろ。ローザの言う通り、オープンできたら人気が出るだろうよ。
No, because all there really is the gardens, which are pretty, but like, you're competing with Delsney here, let's be real. The lodging they had been guided wasn't originally intended to serve as a guest house. It was originally constructed as a resort hotel. However, even though it was built 2 years previously, there was still no prospect of it opening.
兄さんのいつもの事業と同じよ。着目や企画はご立派。そしていつも途中で立ち行かなくなって何も回収できずに終わる。
Oop. Again, such a...
この島をただ住むだけにしか使わないのはもったいないって兄貴の着眼は立派さ。
Yeah.
そしてリゾート化してマリンスポーツやらフィッシングやらハネムーンやらを誘致して盛り上げようってのはなかなかいい絵だったと思うぜ。
And you're competing with Delsney? I feel like I've said that a lot, but like, you're, like, they just came out with The Big Mermaid. And you think marine sports are gonna...
俺だって長男だったならこの島を何かに有効利用できないかと頭をひねったに違いないさ。
Like, yeah.
でももう出来上がってから2年も経つのよ。2年経って未だに開業のめどはつかないの？
And like, for a guest house, yes, it's very large for a guest house, but for a resort, it's kind of small.
任せてる管理会社はどこ？失敬な。それは主人の手落ちではありません。
How, okay, Natsuhi, how is it not the fault of your husband? That he, how is this business venture that he has solely done, how is the bad parts of it not his fault?
主人の仕事を請け負う会社間でトラブルが生じているだけで、うちはあくまでも被害者です。
Well, you picked them as contractors. I get maybe, like, Yelp didn't exist yet, but, like, you're incredibly wealthy. Ask your other incredibly wealthy friends who you contract with. But judging based off of your whole disposition, it seems you don't have a lot of friends.
しかしな、クラウス兄さんが任せてる例のとこ、
Oh!
あまり噂は聞かんで。
Okay, so we're back to me just needing to press space.
はっきり言ってあげなさいよ。不払い横領トラブルで計画が空中分解しちゃったって話。
Oh.
私たちの耳に届かないとでも思ってる？
Okay, damn. Yeah, that sounds like just your fault, actually.
裏も取れてるんだから。
Do you know how easy it was to get away with crimes in the 80s? Like, whatever.
何の裏だか存じませんが、事実無根です。観光業への新規参入には方々への根回しが必要になります。
I don't think embezzlement is a necessity for starting a business, but maybe
相手が信用に借りるかを測ることも大事です。それに手間取っているだけに過ぎません。
I see this either way, it's your fault. It's either directly your fault for hiring a shady group of people, or also directly your fault for doing crimes.
ホテルの完成が早すぎて勇み足になったことは認めよ
Okay.
う。だが維持費がかかってるわけじゃない。
Also fair.
やがて大きな意味を持つ布石だ。
Okay.
嘘つけよ。
Oh.
生産したくても売れないだけだろ。
Yeah, it's hard to liquidate a building.
観光ルートの確立してない何もない離島にやたら豪華なホテルなんて買い手がつくわけもねえさ。
Yeah.
それに事業に集めた融資はどうなってんだよ。
維持費はかからんでも回線借金は膨らむ一方や。
Ooh.
すまんがクラウス兄さん、
Don't apologize. You're
この
spitting.
島の開発計画の話ちょいと調べさせてもろたんや。正直こっちもええ話は聞かへんのや。
Yeah, you
本当
suck.
にそう。
Though I somehow like you significantly more than Aniki. Nope. Yeah.
確かに今の財政状況だけを見たらそういう印象を持たれるかもしれない。
I mean, his whole thing is finance.
だがこれは先行投資なのだよ。その読みを誤り、これまでに多くの負債を生んでしまったことは認めざるを得ない。
Okay.
だがようやく時代が私に追いついた。これまでに失った分はすぐに取り戻せる。
Is this gambler's fallacy? I don't know how money works, but this seems like gambler's fallacy. But instead of like doing something fun like playing blackjack, you build a hotel.
いやそれどころか、これまでの投資だってやがては私の元に戻ってくる。そう例えるなら、放った稚魚が鮭となり、肥えて帰ってくるようにね。
What? Is a small fry a word for baby salmon? Or does he think if you throw a fish back into a small fish into the ocean, it will become a salmon?
それは認めるで。これからリゾート業界は空前の好景気を迎えるやろ。
Your direct competitors are Delsny, and you live on an island with that you don't really know what it looks like, most of it.
これまでの負債を埋められるほどかはわからんが。
Ooh.
だがな、クラウス兄さん。これまで散々負け続けた兄さんがどこから軍資金を調達したっていうんや。それも半端ない軍資金や。あれだけの穴を埋められる軍資金やで。
Yeah.
秀吉さんは何をおっしゃいたいのですか？
I don't know, I feel like we've all said it pretty clearly, Natsuhi. We've all clearly said your husband sucks and is making a bunch of bad investments and he doesn't know business, and also, maybe worse, is doing financial crimes at the same time. Like, how do you expect someone to give a loan to him?
ああ、夏樹さん。ほんま怒らんといてえな。
Honestly, she's calmed down at this point. She isn't screaming.
わしらも調べたんや。これまで負け戦続きのクラウス兄さんに
Oh, the mob. I guess the Yakuza.
支えられるほどの融資を誰ができたんか調べたんや。
結果
Rudolph, I don't like this guy. Fuck this guy. But also, just like, is the mafia on this island right now? Is the Italian mafia on this remote Japanese island right now?
いねえんだよ。
Oh!
弱り目と逆に張るのがマネールーレットの鉄則だ。兄貴はこの界隈じゃちょいと知られた弱り目さ。
Natsuhi, I swear to God, if you come up with what's that supposed to mean? He just called you're a fairly well-known loser in this field. Honestly, bars.
確かに時代は好景気を迎えようとしているが、これまでの兄貴の失敗等を天秤にかけて、その上で融資に値すると思う連中がいるのかって言ったら、誰もいなかったのさ。
So not even the Italian mafia?
ならね、そのお金をどこから調達したのってことになるのよ。
The Italian mafia.
ほう。興味深い話じゃないか。それで
あなた、このような暴言をいつまで放置されるつもりですか？
Girly, he's lying to you. This is definitely real and he told you lies.
座れよ、夏日さん。担当直入に言おう。兄貴は親父の個人資産を自分の事業に流用してる。
Oh! Other
これ
crimes.
はほぼ間違いね これが俺たちの誤解だってんなら、どうかぜひそれを解いてもらいたいもんさ。
ルドルフ、流用なんてもんじゃないわよ。これは横領よ。
Yeah. And somehow, Anarchy, don't worry, you're still more likable than Rudolph.
刑事告発できる立派な犯罪なんだから。無礼極まりない。
You know what else shouldn't be tolerated? Embezzlement, Natsuhi.
仮にも後宮本家跡継ぎの後宮クラウスに向かって信じられない暴言です。
Hard to be the successor if you're in jail.
暴言じゃないわよ。図星でしょ。
Yeah, Eva. I know I said don't twist that knife, but twist that knife.
なんとか事業を成功させてこれまでの損失を埋めたいんだけど、その穴は広がっていく一方、博打の穴をさらに大きく張った博打で埋めたいだけよ。
So I was right about gambler's fallacy. Pretty cool, pretty interesting, nailed it.
その軍資金がすぐ近くにあったなら手をつけるのは道理。
Actually, it might not be gambler's fallacy as much as she's just using a gambling analogy to also define gambling. But again, instead of blackjack, it's just sort of a hotel you built.
はっきり言うわ。兄さんがしているのは横領よ。
You've been frank this whole time, Eva.
お父様に対する裏切りよ。
Well, to be your father's 2 sheets to the west. What's the cardinal direction used for that phrase? Your father is not here. Like, he's alive, but like he's not here.
しかるべき決着がついた後には司法に委ねることになるでしょうね。そんな輩に後宮本家跡継ぎを名乗らせるとお思い？言うにこと書いて、当主様への裏切りとは聞き捨てがたい。
Yeah, because I'm gonna be real, there's no real reason to hang out with your old man unless you can financially gain from it.
この栄光ある後宮家の敷居をまたぐ資格はもはやあなたにはありません。
Well, she isn't the threshold, let's be clear, Natsuhi. She's blood, and as has been clearly stated, that means a lot more than you.
即刻ここを出て行きなさい。
How? Second question, how? Only a boat.
さあ、ほら。
Natsuhi, who had already reached the limits of her anger, shouted at Eva in a rage. Then she pointed alternatively. Wait, is that how? I thought there was a V in that word. She then pointed alternately. That's crazy. At Eva in the hallway, demanding that she leave. Eva took out a folding fan and fanned herself with it, glaring maliciously at Natsuhi as though silently daring her to repeat what she said. That's good. That's pretty good. However, her mouth was smiling, curved in the shape of a crescent moon. In that unpleasant silence, Rosa gulped, who again forgot was here.
ねえ、夏日姉さん。誰に向かってそんな口をお聞きなの？無礼極まりない主人の妹に対してです。これ以上は私も本家の台所を預かる者として聞き捨てなりません。
What? As the person in charge of the main family's kitchen, I can't. I'm gonna say that something got lost in translation there. Cause like, hey, you're not the head chef. And that's kind of most of it.
台所預か
Oh,
る
never mind. Not a translation error. Just a weird, crazy thing she said. I just should be pressing space.
黙るがいい
This is our first, like, kind of full art thing.
この名ばかり女房が
Oh! Did she... Eva folded the fan with a snap and rose to her feet energetically. Okay, I thought she just, like, punched her. Compared to the elegance and playfulness she'd shown until a second ago, she was now unimaginably aggressive. Well, like, one of the first things she did was, almost kick someone in the throat, and then said if she actually connected, they would have died. So, like, I feel like this aggression is pretty imaginable from her.
バカバカしいお前が下がりなさいこの後ろ宮エヴァに当主様の左肩を許されている後ろ宮家序列第3位のこのエヴァに下がれと身の程を知りなさいそしてお前のそのみすぼらしい姿を鏡に映してみるがいいお前の服のどこに翼が
Okay, so the wing does mean something. Okay, I've been bringing up the wing.
どこに片翼のわしが許されているのか貴様など後ろ宮家の跡継ぎを残すためだけの存在じゃないの
Ooh, don't love that language, Eva, but
身の程をわきまえるがいいこのゲス女が
Eva's face twisted hideously as her words gorged into Natsuhi's hearts like... Okay. From the top, Eva's face twisted hideously as her words gouged into Natsuhi's heart like talons wrenching at it. There were 100 ways Natsuhi wanted to respond. However, her anger and sorrow crushed her throat, and none of those words managed to make it to her mouth. Her anger had nowhere to go, and became a single hot tear that slowly dripped down. Ah! Ah! Don't love that. Okay. Okay. Moriarty, can you come here, please? I think I'm gonna need... I don't love... Sorry, I just looked at it again and it was... Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I need to grab a cat for comfort. I'll be right back. Ah! Okay, I'm back. I need comfort. That's so awful. I don't love looking at that. Okay.
何か言い返したいならどうぞ言い返しなさいよほーら
Eva's face with her provocative gaze. Okay. However, Natsuhi could do nothing but tremble, her clenched fist quivering. I mean, someone's gonna die. Kraus quietly broke the powdered keg tension.
夏日
Okay.
席を外しなさい
Okay, maybe I didn't have to make such a big deal and grab a cat for comfort.
頭を冷やすといい
Natsuhi resented the fact that her husband had not come to her aid and shifted the focus of her attack. I disagree. I disagree in this moment. I think he said, you should get out of here. I don't know if you saw the face she made. That's... If someone made that face at me, I would also cry and would want to leave the room. But as established, power things can't leave the room. So if I was able to be dismissed, I would take that. Okay. Did the music track just change? Okay. I didn't like that moment of silence I had.
この人たちは言うにこと書いてあなたのことをお父様への裏切り者呼ばわりしているんです。私たちが後宮家の栄光を守り。
Oh, do I need to worry about gore? Do I need to worry about gore? I haven't actually checked in on that. Oh, it's not gory at all. Never mind. Great. I think I might have looked into that. Hi, Pedro. How you doing? How you doing? I hope you're doing good. I'm thinking like terms of service issues with Twitch. Like that kind of thing. Like quick Google search was like, you don't see violence. I didn't think this would have like any animatics. But I don't want to anger anyone on Twitch, please. I don't want to anger anyone there. They trample all of that underfoot and are hateful rambling. Sorry. Great. That's what I cared about. Because anything else gore-wise, that's why I grabbed my cat. Who is by law supposed to help me. I'm actually pretty good with like described gore, but oh my goodness, sorry, just like Eva's oddly like disturbed face in that moment is just like etched in my brain right now, and like I like that. Like, okay, I said I like that, but I'm gonna say I like that I don't like that. Like, I'm okay with that sort of level of discomfort. I'm okay with being uncomfortable during this. Does that make sense? Because I kind of want that. Man, being a fan of the horror genre is just... It's crazy to describe that. Like, if I looked at it... Yeah. Oh my god, I hated that. I hated that in the best way possible. That I want more of it, but... Oh. I am empathetic to Natsuhi. I do just think Eva is so good at just... She's just funny. Natsuhi was already unable to hide her tears. She flew from the room in that state. After that, all that remained was a somewhat embarrassed mood about the parlor. When the sound of footsteps grew distant and silence returned, Kraus shrugged his shoulders slightly.
妻が失礼した。
I don't like you. The only man I like is Hideyoshi. Everyone else is on fucking thin ice.
昔から感情を抑えるのが下手でね。私も苦労している。
I don't like you. Listen, don't talk about your wife that way, Kraus.
あんなに切り盛りされてたんじゃ兄さんも気苦労が絶えないわね。
Okay. Oh. Okay, we're following her now. Interesting. I wonder what the kids are up to outside. Oh. I swear to God, if you're mean to this person, Natsuhi, any empathy I've garnered for you until this point, don't be mean to the servant again. Don't be mean to the servant.
何でもありません。下がりなさい。
Natsuhi flew into her room and threw herself onto the bed, lamenting. Those heart-wrenching sobs reached Kamazawa in the hallway.
おいたわしや奥様。奥様とエヴァ様は犬猿の仲。
I saw.
このお二人の関係を説明するのは女の私にはとてもしんどくございます。
Well, at this point you're talking to yourself.
後ろ宮家は血を特に重んじられますが、嫁いで家を出れば
Is she fourth wall
本来は
breaking?
序列から除籍されます。
Is she fourth wall breaking, and does that mean something? Yeah.
ですからエヴァ様も本来は秀吉様とのご成婚の際に除籍されるはずだったのです。
Okay.
ところがこれは誰のせいでもありません。ましてや奥様のせいであろうはずもありません。
Okay.
神様の気まぐれとしか言いようがありません。クラウス様と夏日様にはなかなか子宝が授からなかったのです。
Okay.
何しろ男尊女卑の後ろ宮家でございます。
Yeah, none of them are great. Though I do like, oh, I keep wanting to call him Grant, but that is not his name. Wait, let me... It was... Nope. Yes. George. I like George. But as far as men in the family go, I like George. I've been told I'm gonna come around on Battler. I don't... He is very creepy towards a child.
妻は後継ぎを残すための道具。
Ugh.
その妻が唯一の役割を果たせないのなら、もはや人間扱いなどされません。
Ooh.
当時の奥様が親方様からどれほど責め苛まれていたか思い出すのも苦しゅうございます。
Oh, I feel so bad for every bad thing I've ever said about Natsuhi.
そんな中、エヴァ様に秀吉様とのご結婚の話が持ち上がりました。エヴァ様は狡猾でした。奥様がいつまでも身ごもられないことにつけ入って親方様に取り入ったのです。入り婿を取って自分が跡継ぎを産むと吹き込み、ご自分の席を後ろ宮家にとどまらせるよう認めさせたのでございます。
Okay.
後ろ宮家に嫁ぎ、外様扱いの奥様と 入り婿を取る形で
So what's-
一族として残ったエヴァ様は
So then what's the deal with
後
Rosa?
宮家の序列の中では雲泥の差。
So what's the deal with Rosa then? Because I guess maybe she had the child out of wedlock? Has that... I mean, they don't know the guy, so I would assume it was out of wedlock, actually. I've answered my own question. And Eva-sama... Oh, she said that already. But I'll read it, because I started to. And Eva-sama, who was related to the family by blood, and whose husband took on the Ushiromiya name...
しかもエヴァ様は先にそれも男児をご出産されております。どれほど奥様の立場がエヴァ様の前で弱いものであったか、お察しいただけますでしょうか。
Okay.
奥様にとってはもし自分がすぐに解任することができれば、エヴァ様の入り婿など親方様に認めさせずに済み、今日のエヴァ様の増長を許さずに済んだだろうという悔しい気持ちがあるに違いありません。
And Eva-sama wouldn't have been permitted to act as arrogantly as she did today. Okay.
しかしそれは奥様のせいであろうはずもない。
Listen, I'm never on the side of the patriarchy. I was gonna say but I don't want to say that phrase and then go but. I'm never on the side of the patriarchy, and that includes when I'm fine with how this worked out, actually. Any feelings I had and didn't say, actually I never had.
すべては気まぐれな神様とジェシカさんをお届けすることが遅れたコウノトリのせいなのでございます。
I do like Kamasawa. Though again, everyone is
だから
just...
といって奥様にはそうと割り切れるはずもない。た
いや
だただ妻としての責務を全うできなかったことに女として悔し涙をこぼすしかできないでしょう。
It's the 80s and Japan. You gotta remember, feminism didn't really take off in Japan until Sailor Moon. And there's a paper written about that, by the way. Actually, I think there's a whole book written. But there's definitely about how Sailor Moon actually did a lot for women in Japan.
おいたわしや。私には何もできず、こうして物陰から見守ることしかできないのです。
Okay. Oh. We're going back to the children's perspective. I thought someone could control time. Let me, save here, though, real quick, just so I have a spot. Can I? Okay. System. Save. Okay. So many slots, just wow. And then okay. Oh, also I'm not reading this out loud. I'm so bad at this. As we did, we once again spotted that the witch's portrait. However, spotted is probably not the best word to describe that experience. Well, she is massive. It was more like our eyes were inexorably drawn to it. That woman's eyes, with her sage-like glamour, definitely had the power to make those who viewed it stand rooted to the spot. That... I don't know if I commented earlier about the eagle wing motif being on her garb in the photo.
魔女ベアトリーチェか。 本当かね。
バトラ信じてない？
Yeah. Back when he had asked what this picture was, the first person to tell him had been Maria. I do think I'm just gonna go off on a limb and say maybe Maria is like sort of that like root person like Rika was, just because I think maybe that could be a pattern the author has. Though I only am familiar with one other work from this author. So grain of salt, grain of salt. Grain of salt's all around. Therefore, when Battler showed signs of doubt, Maria must have felt that Battler didn't have faith in her. Of course, that wasn't what Battler meant. Maria ran up to the portrait and began banging on the plate hanging below it. Maybe the title of the portrait was written there. Maria, trying to prove that she wasn't lying, Okay, I'm not gonna struggle. We're just gonna full confidence first try. Obstinately continued to hit the plate. Again, one of those words I've read, never said.
ああ、悪い悪い。別にマリアが言ったのを疑ったわけじゃないぜ。
バトラ納得。
I also think this, like, chess piece king head thing is gonna come into play. Especially since it's so patriarchy based. That sentence didn't make sense. And I was just kind of saying words actually. When he patted Maria's head and apologized, she seemed to accept it, sticking out her chest and proudly yewing.
何々？我が最愛の魔女ベアトリーチェ。懐かしき故郷を貫く。って、なんだこの怪しげな長い碑文はよ。
The plate did have a title of the portrait written out, but it was much too big to contain only that. Beneath the title was what appeared to be a long epitaph. If you just skimmed over, several unnerving words would jump out at you.
すげえだろそれ。
Do I not get to know those words? You know, it's probably best that I don't have to read them.
じいさまが書かせたものだよ。意味深だろ？
Does she know how to read? When do kids learn how to read?
マリア知ってる。黄金の隠し場所。
It's the place where the gold's hidden.
おいおい、後ろ宮家の隠し黄金の話か？そりゃまた懐かしい話だね。っていうか兄貴、これマジなのか？
これを書かせたおじいさまは、この絵とこの碑文に関しては何も語ってくれないんだ。
Did you ask questions about it? Or, I mean, either way, I guess he might have been pretty far gone by the time this was, like, made. So, like, maybe if you brought it up, he would just be like, why would I talk about that?
でも、親類たちの間では、おじいさまの黄金の隠し場所を記したもので、
So the gold's real.
この謎を解いた者に家督と黄金のすべてを譲るという意味ではないかと、もっぱらささやかれてるよ。
マリア聞いた、マリア聞いた。黄金いっぱいいっぱい。
Okay.
さてな、10トンの金塊なんてね。
Sorry, 10 10 metric tons of gold bars. How much is 10 metric tons of gold bars? Though, when did gold like lose all of its value? Is that like at this point right now? Because like they used to like make computers out of gold, because at some point, like, when was gold devalued? Executive Order 102. The Roosevelt Gold Program? And was I right about old computers being made of gold? Yeah, old desktops did used to have gold in them. But that happened in the 30s, and this is the 80s, so gold has value at this point. Oh, well, if I would have pressed space, I wouldn't have done all of that research.
しかしよ、こんな碑文を読んじまうとマジかなって気になっちまうな。
I think I've already explained grandfather's upbringing, but let me also mention that the Ushiromiya's family legend of the gold. Grandfather succeeded the Ushiromiya family after it was destroyed in the Great Kanto earthquake. I was like, why is Greece a part of this? And by successfully riding the stormy seas after the war, he managed to accumulate great wealth. That much of the story everyone knows. However, this is where the strange part begins. Part of it involves grandfather's black magic obsession, so its credibility is extremely low. But, well, wait until the end before you doubt or make fun of it. I feel like this line was for me. Okay. Keep my opinions in until the end. After the war, grandfather correctly predicted what the future would hold and won in a huge gamble, accumulating a vast store of wealth. But there's a mysterious legend about how he gained his initial funding. Grandfather came from a branch family and had no connections to the business world or the financial world. Even though he later built connections with the occupying forces, he supposedly started as a nameless person who hadn't yet gained anyone's trust. It takes trust to gather money. There's no way anyone would lend money to someone they didn't trust. How did grandfather, who had no reputation at all, manage to obtain his first vast chunk of funds? When asked that question, grandfather supposedly answered like this. On a certain day, I encountered the golden witch Beatrice. Grandfather then went on and on about his confusing research into the alchemy and techniques for summoning demons in order to become a great magician. I know it said to hold comments for the end. I don't think telling someone that you know a witch is going to make them trust you more. Okay. Comment done. And then the entity summoned as the result of the demon calling ceremony was the Golden Witch Beatrice. Okay, sounds like she's a demon. Fuck, that was a comment. He then apparently made a contract by which he would receive fortune and honor in exchange for his own soul. Sounds like the devil, not a witch. The witch then granted grandfather 10 tons of gold. Grandfather used this gold as collateral to prepare a vast quantity of funds. Well, if it was collateral... Sorry, I can't make comments. Which he then used to multiply his wealth many times over and revive the Ushiromiya family. It seems this story is so old that even our parents were told it when they were still children. Well, that makes sense. He's their father. So back when our parents were young, they explored the island in all sorts of ways, believing that gold grandfather received from the witch might be hidden somewhere. Okay, but I thought the island was unexplored. However, since there was danger of them getting lost in the abandoned forest, grandmother began to spread the story that the witch lived in the forest and approaching it was forbidden. Ah, full circle.
そんな話があったな。俺たちも小さい頃、親からその話を聞かされて、宝森で迷ってワンワン泣いて、しお兄さんに見つけてもらって、親にめちゃくちゃ怒られたんじゃなかったっけ？
Well, yeah.
懐かしいぜ。
バカだったよな。
We sure were idiots, weren't we? Yeah.
だってよ、じいさまはその資本金で儲けた挙句でこの島を買うんだぜ。
It's going fine, Parsi. I did have a little bit of a freak out with a disturbing face, which is par for the course, but we're fine. My cat's chilling on my lap. And that's what's
こ
up.
の島に来る前から黄金を持ってたってことになるじゃねえか。この島にあるわけがないぜ。
Yeah. Also, but he used it as collateral. He didn't invest it, actually, is what the story said that I wasn't allowed to comment on.
そうとも限らないよ。
It's not necessarily so.
その黄金が元からこの島に隠されていて、それを確実に自分のものにするためにこの島を丸々買い取ったとかね。
So the story that was just told said it was used as collateral, so we had to show it to someone.
何しろ10トンもあるんだもん。
And I guess they waited at some point.
安全な場所に移すより隠し場所そのものを確保する方が現実的だよ。
That's fair, but your family always lived on this island.
この碑文を書かせたのは2年前。
Wasn't the painting
それも
made
じいさま自身ってなる
3
と。
years ago? Maybe I'm wrong about that. And since grandfather wrote it himself.
なるほど。黄金伝説も信憑性が増してくるじゃねえか。じいさまが後ろ宮家復興の資本金にしたという魔女に授けられた黄金が10トン。
Okay.
そいつがどこかに今も眠っていて、じいさまはこの謎を解けたやつに全部を譲ろうって、そういうつもりなのかもしれねえ。
Maybe your grandfather can do riddles. Who knows?
じいさまらしいセンスというか、なんというか。
Okay, Battler.
マジならなんとも景気のいい話だぜ。
The epitaph carved in the plate was very mysterious. So mysterious that you haven't told me what it says. With something like a poem or song written on it. The text was incredibly disturbing, filled with signs of grandfather's black magic hobby, and its contents were in truly bad taste. But it could definitely be viewed as a puzzle, which, if solved, might lead to the hidden gold.
そういうつもりなのかどうか、おじいさまの胸中は想像もつかないけどね。一つ言えるのは、このうさんくさい碑文をおじいさまは一族全員に告示するかのようにここに掲示したこと。
Okay.
そして黄金の存在はほのめかしながらも、未だにその隠し場所について一切触れないこと。
Well, he told this to his children as like sort of a fairy tale situation, but also black magic is real and we do know that.
そこから親たちが想像を膨らませて、おじいさまの知恵比べに違いないって言い出した。
Grandfather isn't giving you any of his money.
欲の皮が突っ張ってる。
When did the short story You Can't Take It With You come out?
こんな弱まいことを真に受けてるなんてよ。
Can't Take It With You. It came out 1936. So hypothetically they could have read it. And there's a movie to go with it.
この隠し黄金の話だけは信じてやがる。
Because this is very reminiscent of the plot of You Can't Take It With You. As I remember, a short story Well, I guess it's a play. A play I read over a decade ago. Incorrect. A play I read 9 years ago.
調子のいい話さ。
Mm-hmm.
確かに現実的な話じゃないよね。
Yeah. Like how... If he's never moved the gold, how do we know it weighs 10 metric
当時
tons?
無名で何のコネクションもなかったおじい様に無償で莫大な金塊を融資する人物なんているわけがない。
Mm-hmm. Just lend him a massive quantity of gold bars for free. Well, you clearly didn't listen to the legend, George. He summoned a witch by using a demon ritual, and we're supposed to believe it's not a demon, but she's 100% a demon. She came from a demon. She came from a demon ritual.
それがいたからこそ、おじい様はそのスポンサーを魔女と呼んだというなら考えられない話じゃないけど。
Mm-hmm. True.
でもよ、10トンだぜ、10トン。
Yeah, it is 10 tons. 15 tons. What do you get? Wait, what is it? Is it like 15 tons, older in debt? Another year older and deeper in debt. You know that song. Man, I need to stop making references from like the 30s.
一体現金に直したらいくらくらいになるんだ？
This is set in the 80s, not the 30s.
っていうか、とんでもない量になるはずだぜ。
Not for the 30s, though. Because, as previously established, the Roosevelt's law made gold cheap.
とんでもない量だよ。
It certainly would be a ridiculous amount.
人類が有史以来発掘した黄金はせいぜい10万トンって言われてる。
Yeah. Is it set in the 30s or was it filmed in the 30s? I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not 100% sure, but that sounds cool. Set, okay. So it's just like realistic, like set, like black and white. It just came out. Okay, I'll note to self. Pay attention to the world around me. Are you lying to me? Oh, no, I would have known if Nick Cage was Spider-Man. What? Nicolas Cage is Spider-Man. What? What the fuck, Maury? You're showing so much hole. Okay. We gotta... Wait, I gotta keep reading. Okay.
人類の歴史が手にした黄金の1万分の1を個人が手にしてるっていうのはとてつもないことだよ。
It's almost like that's something currently happening with Bitcoin.
それが一箇所にあり、しかもそれをおじい様にポンと貸し出せるような魔女。
I don't speak Japanese, Maury. I need to read the screen. Okay.
ただものじゃないね。
We're not talking about any ordinary person.
私はよ、その10トンって数字ももはや嘘くさいと思ってるぜ。
Well, he said one... His fraction was wrong, by the way. It should be like 1 in every 1/10,000th. Maury, don't stand on my keyboard. I love you dearly. You have caused an amount of problems. You're incredibly inconvenient. Maury! Maury!
でも200億円という現金ならいざ知れず。
No. You can't sit on my keyboard. I just missed so much exposition and I can't go back. Okay. 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 You got it. I love you dearly. We got it. You can't be on my desk anymore. No, go. I can go back, just scroll up. Oh my god! Okay, never mind, Mori. You can stay exactly where you want to be. Okay. You can only go back so far, though. That's unbelievable. How much would 10 tons be then? 10 kilograms is 20 million yen, which you multiply by 1,000, so 20 billion yen. Okay, let me quickly look up what 20 billion yen is. 125-ish million dollars. We'll call it 126 million dollars in 1984 now. So 403 million dollars. 20 billion yen. What the hell? How much is 20 billion yen actually worth? We can only measure in relative to our own pocketbooks. Oh, were they gonna explain that? Anyway, let's say a person's wage over a lifetime are about 200 million yen. No. Maybe 100 trillion yen, not USD. No. A trillion so much. You grow up and you work like crazy, sacrificing your life for your company, and you're finally freed as you approach old age. Everything, including retirement money, might add up to around 200 million yen. In other words, that's the amount of money that'll be made throughout a human life. No, you could even call it the value of a life. So 100 times that sum is an unbelievable amount of money. If you work from age 20 to age 60, that's 40 years of work, so it's equal to 4,000 years of working wage. Okay. If you worked every day starting from the Jomon period, you'd only reach that number about now. Is 20 billion yen a lot? He did just explain all of that, Maria. Oh. Heck yeah, it's a lot, Maria. You love shortcakes, right? You could buy more shortcakes than you could possibly eat for the rest of your life. Bad example. But, anyway. However, while that might be possible with 20 billion yen in cash,
それと同等の金塊がひとところにあるなんてとても現実的とは思えないね。
I agree.
さっきも言った通り、黄金は非常に重くて財産をまとめておくにはちょっと便利とは思えないよ。
Well, we're talking tons of gold. Ton is a weight. So the fact that gold is heavy kind of means there's less of it to move.
ものすごい額面の有価証券とか、ものすごく価値のある宝石とか、そういうものなら考えられなくもないけれど、戦時中の混乱期に自分の資産を持ち運べるよう全て宝石などに変えた人たちがいたのは有名な話だからね。
Yeah.
でも黄金で資産を備蓄したというのはなかなか聞かない。
確かに重いけどよ、国際的に一番信用されてて価値も安定してるし、意味はあるんじゃないのかな。
Interesting, yeah. But again, all of this came from the 30s when gold was kind of at its cheapest.
証券とかだったら国が滅びちまったら紙切れになっちまうわけだし。
You know, that's what I've been saying, Jessica.
そういう考え方もあるね。
You can also look at it that way.
でも 10kg のインゴット一つでも体感重量は相当のものだよ。
Again, if you're talking weight, if you're carrying around 10 kilograms, it's going to feel like you're carrying 10 kilograms, George. You're supposed to be the smarty.
聞いたことない？ 50キロの人間は背負えても50キロの俵は担げないって。それだけの莫大な重量の金塊を個人が所有するリスクと手間は計り知れないね。
Well, it's the 80s. Vehicles exist.
ってことはつまり200億円の札束がうなってるって話ならともかく。
Yeah.
200億円分の黄金が山積みになってるってのはちょいと現実味がないわけだな。
Yes.
そういうことになるね。黄金伝説なんて響きはとても面白いんだけど、そもそも10トンの黄金という時点で少々無理があるね。
Yeah, that's the unrealistic thing about the demon summoning ceremony granting gold.
そうやってリズムで考えるとみるみる嘘くさくなっていくぜ。
But we do know black magic is real, but I think we just know that as the audience.
夢のない話さ。
Don't bite
でも
me.
そこは何しろあのおじいさまだからね。
You want pets and then you bite me anyway. Okay, what do you want? Okay, and then I do this and you bite me. Anyway, that's grandfather for you. I'm not going to pet you if you try to bite me again.
親切なお金持ちからの融資を大げさに吹聴して
You wanna
魔
kiss?
女から授かった10トンの黄金なんて例え方をしたのかもしれないよ。
Oh, he wanted a kiss and then he won't bite me anymore. Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
10トンという数字も象徴的な感じがするしね。
Again, 10 tons is a number, but it's more of a weight, George.
つまり借りた金のありがたさは10トンの黄金に匹敵する価値があった
More
って
age.
なことだな。
Was that where it was earlier? Who knows? I love you. You're so chaotic. So much drama. He is the drama. Okay.
じいさまに大金持ちの勇敢マダムが気前よく恵んでくれて。
I don't know. Your grandfather doesn't seem very good with women.
その後夫人を魔女と呼んだってことじゃねえのか？
Yeah, like you do the kind of Mori, don't Mori, please. Mori, please don't subject me to that life. Okay. You can I see. Jessica's example isn't bad. Somehow, someone who generously lent a huge sum of money to grandfather when he still had no reputation might as well be called a witch. Furthermore, grandfather actually did use that money to build a vast amount of wealth later on. The fact that this person was so great at judging people might also justify calling her a witch. Also, since she went to the trouble of lending all that money, she might have enthusiastically overseen how it was spent. The decision to unexpectedly get involved with the occupying forces and profit from the Korean War demands might have been inspired by the witch herself. That might explain why he claimed to have received both wealth and honor from her.
なるほどな。ってことはつまりこの魔女様は後宮家復興のための資金を恵んでくださった。
And again,
復興の大恩人ってわけだ。
so you did tell me the legend, and it was actually a trade at time. He gave her soul. He gave her his soul. There we go. Nailed it. First time. Don't worry about the first time. Fuck. Anyway. Which, going on, is his soul really worth 10 tons of gold? Like, he doesn't seem like a great guy. I don't think his soul is worth that much.
となりゃ、じい様が感謝の気持ちを込めてこんだけでかい絵を描かせて掲げさせたってのも、なるほど、おかしい話じゃないのかもな。
ひょっとするとよ、当の本人は見るからに魔女っぽいばあさんだったかもしれないぜ。
Is it even possible this person was an old granny who looked like a witch? Well, he drew a whole artist rendition.
それをじい様が美化してこんな美人に描いてくれたってのは考えられる話さ。案外当の本人に会ってみたらこんなに美人じゃないかもしれねえな。
Don't insult her like that. Ah!
ありえるね。ベアトリーチェって名前はいかにも洋風だけど、僕たち一族の名前がみんな洋風であることを考えると、このベアトリーチェって名前も
Someone's outside.
日本人名を無理やり洋風にアレンジしたものなのかもしれないよ。
Which is upsetting because I told them to text me when they arrive. But that's okay. That's okay.
なるほどなるほど。この美人は絵の中にしかいないってわけだな。それじゃあ、あの立派そうな胸は揉めそうにないぜ。
I don't know. That seems pretty, arrogant.
鼻っから魔女なんておかしいんだよな。そんなのが地球上のどこにいるってんだ。
Well, okay. I laughed and made fun of the witch, trying to distinguish myself from the kid I was 6 years ago, who feared the witch of the forest when Maria tugged on my sleeve. I could tell by how hard she pulled that she was a bit upset. Has she seen this witch?
Huh?
Maria's seen this witch.
なんだよ、マリア。
ベアトリーチェはいる。
Maria stared up at me. She had her usual sour look, but I could tell she was angry by the color of her eyes.
魔女いる。
Witches exist.
魔女はいる。
Everything Maria says I take as fact.
なんだよ、そりゃいるだろうよ。テレビをつけりゃアニメとかによ。
No, everything Maria says I take as fact.
魔女はいる。
She started getting impatient, not knowing why Maria was jumping on me like this. Maybe she's seen her mom practice witchcraft or something. Then Jessica tapped me on the shoulder and whispered.
バカだな。子供の夢打ち砕いてんじゃねえぜ。
Factual.
マリアは魔女とかベアトリーチェとかが確かに存在するって知っ。
確かマリアちゃん
Sorry,
は
I need
学校
to
の文集に
finish for the voice acting
将
to
来
stop
なり
and
たい
not
もの
just
は
press space when
魔
I'm
女
done
って
reading.
書いたんだっけ？
Maria nodded seriously. Oh, she wants to be a witch when she grows up. Tears started to run from corners of her eyes. I see. To a girl who wants to become a witch in the future, the existence of Beatrice was proof that witches do exist in the world. Yeah. And was therefore an image that she yearned after and admired. Mm-hmm. Oop. Is she stomping like the stairs? Rules of 3.
うんいるよ魔女は。
What did I say about stepping on my keyboard, Mori?
お兄ちゃんは信じるよ。
It's okay, I'll just hold him here. Okay. He kneeled down and hugged Maria's head. Weird place to hug. Then, watching this, Jessica poked my side. So that's what it is. It's like shouting at Santa Claus doesn't exist in front of a child who believes in him on Christmas Eve. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to shatter kids' dreams.
ああ、悪かったぜ。別にマリアの夢にケチをつけたわけじゃねえんだ。謝るよ。ベアトリーチェはいるよな。今もこの島の森の中に住んでいて、夜な夜な
Okay, well, you've added this lore, and that is creepy.
だから森には入っちゃいけない。夜はいつまでも暗い森を眺めていてはいけない。森の魔女ベアトリバ様がそう言ってたんだもんな。
本当に
Okay, well now you're scaring her.
本当にバトラーは信じる
Oh, never mind. That was not a thing of she was scared. That was a thing of excitement?
ああ、信じるぜ。ケチをつけて悪かったよ。ほら、仲直りしようぜ。
Ah, man, to be a kid again. I stuck out my hand, Maria grabbed it with her tiny hand, and we made up. Maria didn't grumble any more than that, so George, Aniki, and Jessica were relieved.
あら、
Hi, Shannon.
皆様ここにいらっしゃられたんですか
Just as a quick reminder, she is 16. So this is where all of you were.
てっきり海岸へ
And
行
I
か
was
れ
sure
たとばかり
you had left to go to the beach. Shannon-chan, carrying a basket, was surprised to find us all gathered in front of the portrait. You know what? Yeah.
シャノンか
Shannon.
いやさ、バトラはベアトリーチェの肖像画を初めて見るからさ。まあ見とれてたってわけだぜ。
It's a lot.
そうですね。見とれちゃいますね。ベアトリーチェ様って本当にお綺麗です。さぞや親方様を虜になさったろうと思います。
パトロン説の他にも、
Oh my
お
goodness,
じい様
stop.
の初恋の人だという説もあるんだ。
Yeah.
どちらにせよ、彼女に出会ってか
Uh,
ら数十年を経ているだろうにもかかわらず、今なお心の中に大きく
I mean-
居座り続けているんだから。
She holds the only space in his heart. As of now.
それは今なお虜にしているということなんだろうね。
Clearly. George, I thought you were smart. Why are you just making observations that are just kind of clearly true and everyone knows about?
やれやれ。
Sheesh.
これじゃ、ばあ様はさぞや嫉妬しただろうぜ。
Ooh.
私はよく知らねえけど、やっぱりそういうのはあったらしいぜ。ばあ様は金髪の浮気相手がいると信じてたらしいな。
Doesn't help that the portrait's blonde. An affair.
いい匂い。
Good smell.
シャノンからいい匂い。
Coming from Shannon. Well, does she have food? She's carrying a basket. Maybe it was a picnic. Oh my goodness, Shannon, I love you so much. You picnic? You do picnic? Picnic. After hearing that, I noticed the fragrant scents with a touch of vanilla. They did just eat lunch.
申し訳
So,
ござい
yeah.
ません。
I apologize. Okay. Let me just double check. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
熊沢さんからこれを皆さんにお届けするようにことづかりました。
なんだろ
Mm-hmm.
う。素敵だね。
Hi, Maury.
クッキーだ。
Cookies.
クッキー食べたい。
Ooh, vanilla cookies. Mm-mm-mm. I'm more of a vanilla person than a chocolate person. Though I can't have chocolate anymore, so works out for me.
え
Well, I can't have a lot
お
of
召し上
chocolate
がりいた
anymore.
だけますよ。
So you're just sort of headbutting the monitor now? That's okay. He's a weird guy.
でも、
But, Would it be appropriate to serve cookies in a place like this, in front of the portrait? Would it be appropriate? Oh wait, Shannon-chan sent us a glance that seems to ask what we wanted to do about it. Well, yeah, guess eating here would be bad manners, generally speaking. Yeah, it is just sort of a hallway.
マリア、ここじゃなくてよそで食べようぜ。クッキーをお弁当にピクニックに行こう。
Yes, picnic. I'm hype about picnics.
そうだな。ちょっと表の空気を吸いに行くか。魔女様の御前でつまみ食いもねえもんだぜ。
そうだ。もともと私たちは浜辺に行こうって言ってたんじゃねえか。
Yeah.
行こうぜ行こうぜ。
To be honest, I thought it said garden, but it's been a while since I picked this up again.
シャノンちゃん、申し訳ないんだけど、腰を下ろせる敷物と水筒にお茶を入れてきてもらうのをお願いしてもいいかな。
You want to drink tea from a flask, George? George, I like you, and I thought you were smart. But you know, the more you talk, the more I'm like, oh, you're just I thought you were a normal guy, and the more I find out, the more I'm like, oh.
はい、かしこまりました。
Do flasks refer to anything else? Shannon-chan received her instructions and gracefully bowed before retracing her steps. We headed for the beach on our own. You made that sound like she had no idea where she's been going. As we've established, all of your servants you gathered from children, and you forced the children to work here. So, like, she knows where she's going. Everyone headed for the entrance in a group. Feeling as though that witch was staring down at our backs, I turned around once more.
アトラ、まだ信じてない？
いや、信じるぜ。その方が夢があるしな。黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェがじい様に10トンの黄金を授けた。
Yeah.
それで、その黄金がどこかに眠っているかもしれない。しかもそいつをじい様は怪しげな碑文に書き残し、こういうロマンはあった方がいいってもんさ。
Yeah.
200億円の黄金か。
It's a lot.
私たち4人で山分けしたってとんでもない金額になるな。
Exactly.
一人頭50億円か。
Which is about $100 million nowadays.
すごいね。それだけあったらどんな事業でも起こせそうだよ。
Any sort of...
いや、そもそも働かずに生涯を優雅に過ごせるだろうね。
50億円よりクッキークッキー。
Stay simple, Maria. You're easy. That's... Set your expectations for life low. Hey.
マリアには金よりクッキーだな。
She doesn't have to sell her soul for some cookies.
しかし、50億円か。夢のある話さ。
バカバカしい。
Okay, back to the family.
まさかお前たちは親父殿の黄金伝説を本当に信じているのかね。
Oh.
魔女が黄金を与えた云々はさすがに信じねえさ。だが黄金の話だけは間違いじゃない。
No mistake about the gold itself. Okay, big stretch, big stretch.
お父様が出自不明の金塊を持っていたことは複数の筋から確認されているわ。
And I'm assuming if I press space, you're going to go into that?
死んだマルソーの会長は生前、 お父様に某所で積み上げられた金塊を実際に見せられたという。
So you heard.
お父様はそれを指して10トン分あるとはっきり明言したわ。
Okay. So maybe a bit of an
おいぼれの
exaggeration.
ざれ事じゃないか。
Of a senile old
親
man.
父殿と一緒に存在しない黄金の存在をでっち上げただけだ。取るにも足りない。
Sorry, Maury's knocking over a lamp now. Ay, 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 guys. Capri Suns. As I'm getting parched, reading. And they're Mario Kart Capri Suns, by the way. Which is a game that's been out for a while.
存在線黄金にあないな軍資金は集まらへんで。
Unsettling music.
会長さんは生前その真摯なお人柄であれだけ大勢の財界人から尊敬を集めたお人や。
How sincere can a businessman be?
詐欺の片棒なんか担がへん。
Ooh, let me... How is... Oh my goodness. This music... Ugh. Spooky... What's the tips tab? Oh. I have no tips. Okay.
兄貴、マルソーの会長は確かに見たんだ。10トンの黄金をはっきりとその目で。
Well, the president did say 10 tons. Your grandfather said 10 tons. 16 tons. What
し
do
か
you
も
get?
親父はそのインゴットの一つを任意で抜き取らせ、会長に持ち帰らせて鑑定させた。
Okay.
それは10キロのインゴットで、鑑定結果は純度49。インゴット表面には後ろ宮家の家紋である片翼のワシが刻印されていたという。
Okay. And we've seen this gold?
後ろ宮の黄金伝説は瞬く間に財界のフィクサーたちの間に広がったわ。
So the gold is real.
鋳造元不明の黄金は換金率が悪
Do
い。
you have opinions now, Usagi? About everything going on?
ボロ儲けのチャンスだと思った彼らはそれを担保に認め、結果お父様は莫大な融資を受けることができた。
バカバカしいにも程があるじゃないか。
The only person I trust is Maria.
お前たちはいくつになるんだ。まだそんな子供の頃のおとぎ話を真に受けているのかね。第一。
You know what? Maybe I'll be less cold if I turn off the fan. Ay, ay, ay. Getting comfortable. That'll probably make it so I'm not actually shivering.
親父殿と親交の深かったごく一部の人間のざれ言だけじゃないか。
Well, the
もちろん苦
butler.
言だけさ。でもよ兄貴、親父が調達した莫大な金はそれに見合う担保が必要だった。仮に黄金がデマでもそれに匹敵する価値あるお宝を親父が見せたのは紛れもない事実じゃねえのかい。
The music is so good at making me feel unsettled, and I appreciate that. It was just an illusion of money created by our penniless father. Well, maybe if he bestowed that to you, Kraus, you wouldn't be in the amount of debt you are in.
ありもしない黄金をあるかに振る舞い、スポンサーたちを騙したんだ。
Then what about... Well, hey, they brought up the fact that this guy had the gold tested. So, like, he at least had 1 bar of gold.
一世一代の大博打だったのだろう。運よくその資産の運用に成功できた。
Unlike you, Kraus.
もし当時の外需拡大がなかったら後ろ宮家の再興はならず、親父殿は正規のペテン師として追われていただろう。
じゃあクラウス兄さんは黄金など最初から。
Sorry, guys. I just read it and I thought maybe he'd say more. So I pressed space. I need to stop doing that.
だから十分な成功を収めた後には黄金幻想など面倒なだけだった。
I either pressed space too soon or not soon enough.
だから親父殿は魔女だの黒魔術だのとわけのわからないことを後に言い出して信憑性を薄めたのさ。つまり黄金幻想がでっち上げであることを明かしたのだよ。魔女に黄金を授かったなどと言えば、もはや誰も黄金の存在を信じたりはしまい。
Okay.
あるいはお前たちのために言い出したのかもしれないな。なのに、ありもしない黄金を遺産分配に含めて議論しようという
You're acting like you're better than them. But you're the only person who hasn't actually made a name for themselves outside of the father. All of them are actually successful in their own ways. You are literally siphoning off your father's wealth to fund a hotel.
どうぞ。まさかお前までこんなでっち上げを信じてるって言うんじゃないだろうな。
私はお父様が本当に黄金を持っていたかどうかを確かめることはできない。
Hey, she can't prove it, that's fair.
でもお父様の4人の子供の一人として正当な分を主張したいだけよ。
You know what? Respect. I don't know if it's real, but if it is real, I want some of it, so I gotta put it off. This song is so good.
ほう。ローザも言うようになったじゃないか。なるほど。お前たちはこう言いたいわけかね。私が黄金を独り占めしようとしていると。
Sounds like something you'd do, Kraus.
兄さんが莫大な軍資金を調達したのは事実。それがお父様の個人資産の横領では断じてありえないというなら。
Hey, my money is on the Italian mafia being on this small remote Japanese island hunting your father.
つまりはそういうことよ。
Mine, Eva.
兄貴はすでに10トンの金塊を見つけてるんじゃないかって。俺たちはそう見てるのさ。
バカバカしい。
Hey, Kraus, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna level with you. You're being accused of embezzlement. So you're being accused of embezzlement. Or you found the
そ
gold.
んなものは元より存在しない。
And Mori said, keep reading the story. No one cares about your comments. I see how it is. At first he tried to move my mic away. Now he said, keep going.
じゃあ説明なさいよ。
I'm just saying, if I'm being accused of embezzlement and I actually found a bunch of gold, I would probably go with the one that doesn't make me criminally liable and just be like, yeah, I have found the 10 tons of gold.
お父様の財産の横領、お父様の隠し黄金。そのどちらでもないなら、どうやってあれだけの軍資金を調達できたっていうの？
私にも政界財界に友人が多くいてね。
Well, in the words of Rudolph, and I don't like faming him at all, everyone knows you as a loser?
彼らから協力を得ただけに過ぎん。
Well, you earned their cooperation, meaning billions of yen.
それについてお前たちに説明する義務はない。
You kinda do.
分かっているだろう。話せぬ方面の筋もある。
兄貴がそうだ。でもよ兄貴、
お
親父は長くない。来年の今日まで生きてるなんて誰にも保証できねえんだぜ。親父が死ねばその時点で遺産相続だ。
And they don't know they get nothing.
俺たちは全員の立場から中立な弁護士と会計士を立てて親父の財政状況を調査させるぜ。
その時お父様の資産に兄さんが不当な干渉をしていることが発覚したなら
What you doing? Did you? Ay, ay, ay. Whatever.
お分かりね。
See?
何の話だかさっぱりわからんね。
He made a separate deal with the witch. And he has his own separate 10 tons of gold. Even though I don't think his soul is worth that. Oh my god. Don't talk about Natsuhi that way.
お父さんの黄金はもちろんお父さんの財産や。表に出せん金やっちゅうのも分かっとる。しかし4人に公平な権利があるはずや。
つまり兄貴が黄金を独り占めしていないかどうか、兄貴についても財務状況を調査させてもらうぜってことなのさ。
いい機会じゃない。兄さんの言うところの友人知人にバックアップしてもらったというところを証明なさいよ。
Make a phone call.
私たちは
It's the
くだらな
80s,
い
not
疑い
the
を持ってしま
30s.
ったことを潔く謝れるわ。
It's the 80s, not the 30s, Mori. I can make a phone
ねえ
call.
ルーザ
そうね。クラウス兄さんこそ話をはぐらかしてるわ。やましいところがないというなら証明してくれればいいだけの話なのに、兄さんはまるで取り合おうとしてくれない。
Because his business folks is the Italian mafia.
だがまあ兄貴の立場にも配慮するさ。親父の名代ということで俺たちより一つ多く責任を背負ってるところもあるだろう。今まで散々気楽に過ごしてきた俺たちがそれを察しないでブーブー言うのはこりゃフェアな話じゃないぜ。
ほう。さっきから落とされたり持ち上げられたりと忙しい。
It's called a compliment sandwich, Kraus.
本題に入りたまえ。
I don't respect you or what you stand for.
つまりな、お父さんの財産をあれこれ調べて重箱の隅をつっつくんはブスやないかって話なんや。クラウス兄さんの言う通り、うまく説明できん金の動きもあるやろ。そこを理解した上でわしらは兄さんに相談を持ってきたんや。お互いにとって悪うない相談や。
相談？
A consultation, Mori.
ほう。
I like how they say ho. It's the only thing I like about him, though.
今日まで親父の面倒を見てきてくれた兄貴のご苦労を最大限に汲み取り、分配に寛大な理解を示そうってことさ。
間違えないでよ。別に私たちの権利を放棄するって言ってるわけじゃないのよ。 ただその権利を主張する際に兄さんの立場に立った寛大な理解があってもいいんじゃないかしらということなのよ。
Oh, the will's gonna be a
つま
bloodbath.
り条件を飲んでくれたら
So basically, the plot of You Can't Take It With You is there's an old grouchy man, but he isn't doing black magic and he is like a little coherent. Has a thing about saying you can't take it with you. And he has an amount of children and they're always bickering and fighting over the money. But he is actually lining his coffin with all of the cash he has, and he wants to be cremated inside of this coffin. So you can't take it with you. He does end up taking the money with him. There's that. And then B, but he does leave some for the servants. Some of his wealth for the servants, but he does leave his family with nothing. And that's kind of the plot of You Can't Take It With You, as I recall. And I'm getting very much You Can't Take It With You vibes. Though I believe that's the comedy. So...
わしらは遺産分配時にお父さんの財務状況調査をクラス兄さんに一任してもいいっちゅうこっちゃ。
All of the siblings from Eva downward suspected that Kraus was trying to steal their father's wealth. So letting Kraus report the state of wealth was extremely contradictory and a huge concession. If, as they claim, Kraus was actually embezzling money, Kraus would be able to hide that fact. Besides which, it'd be possible for him to control the distribution of inheritance in a manner favorable to himself. There's no inheritance. Kraus realized that this sounded too good to be true, couldn't help but feel suspicious. He couldn't help but worry about what they'd ask for in exchange.
ほう。信用ゼロの私に長兄としての信頼を返してくれるというのか。その見返りは何だね。
同じ兄弟としての公平な権利さ。俺たちの兄貴は親父の財産をかすめ取るようなやつじゃない。だがしかし、兄貴に融資するパトロンも存在しない。となりゃ、つまりこういうことなら兄弟は納得するわけさ。
兄さんは10トンの黄金を見つけ、それを担保に軍資金を作った。そう、お父様がかつてそうしたようにね。
そういうことならお父さんの財務状況におかしな点は一切あらへん。クラス兄さんはずっとお父さんの世話をしてきた高校息子や。そないな人を信用せんわけにはいかへん。
You see, you showed your hand earlier.
回りくどくて分かりづらいな。もっとはっきり具体的に言いたまえ。
条件の一つ目。まず兄貴は親父の黄金を見つけていたことを認めること。
That's your first condition. I feel like there should be like a comma being, and you have to share it with us.
ありもしない黄金を私が持っていると認めろと。
Worse, we're asking you to share gold that doesn't exist. Though the gold does exist because Maria says so, and I take everything Maria says as fact.
条件2、その黄金について兄弟の取り分を認めこれを支払うこと。
Feels like that it could have been a 1A 1B situation.
バカな。ありもしない200億の黄金について一人頭50億、合計150億を支払えというのか。
Well, you could take a little more off the top since you've been taking care of your grandfather. I think that's what they were getting at.
バカバカしい。
最後まで聞きなあれ。
Ooh.
そない大金出てくるのは分かっとる。でけへん取引はするつもりないで。もちろん 黄金の取り分についてもクラウス兄さんの今日までのご苦労を十分にねぎらって換
It's the
算
sun
するつ
reflecting
も
on
り
the
や。
wall he's looking at.
条件3、黄金の分配は後宮本家当主跡継ぎの肩書きに 50%、 残りを兄弟の正当な取り分として分割。もちろんクラウス兄さんもこれには含めるわよ。
So you would end up with, so the last half is divided by 4. So you'd end up with 67% of it?
200億のうち125億を兄貴に、25億をエヴァ姉さんに、25億を俺に、25億をローザに。
ありがたくて涙が出る分配じゃないか。
But you won't. And if you say a line about your wife, I will jump into the computer and punch you.
存在しない黄金のためにお前たちに75億支払えというのかね。
何よ、兄さんの取り分は私たちの5倍じゃない。
Okay.
私なら踊り上がっちゃう好条件よ。
Yeah.
条件の4、
Oh, there's more.
分配金は親父の死亡時に遺産分配に含めて清算する。
Okay, so again, it sort of feels like a 1ABCD situation.
ただし手付金として俺たちの取り分の 10% を即納してもらう。
Okay. So what's 10% of 2.5 billion? 10 million?
支払いは来年3月までだ。
どうやクラウス兄さん、お父さんの財産をめぐる信頼を回復する絶好のチャンスやないか。さすがに75億の大金はお父さんが亡くなったからやないと無理やろ。だが手付けの7億半はなんとかできんこともないんとちゃうか。
Okay.
半年で7億ってのはちょいとしんどい話だが、政界財界に友人が多いってのが自慢の兄貴ならなんとかできるだろう。
Ooh.
本当なら今すぐ75億を一括で払ってもらいたいところよ。でも兄さんの立場に配慮してとりあえず1割を納める誠意を見せてくれたら、残りの9割は遺産分配時に持ち越してくれていいってことなの。
Of which there is no inheritance you shall receive.
ね。
See?
1割程度の誠意なら兄さんにだって示せるんじゃない？
親父殿の財政状況調査を私に一任する権利を7億5千万で売りつけようというのかね。
Yes. Don't like your laugh.
上等じゃないか。お前たちも成長したものだ。この私に取引を持ちかけられるようになるとは。
これらを兄さんが飲むなら、私たち兄弟はお父様の財産状況調査を兄さんに一任する。ただしその調査結果は公弁の対象となる。
お？
当然よね。75億分私たちの取り分が減るように調整されちゃったら悲しいもの。
原則的に文句は言わねえつもりだ。
We'll avoid complaining as a rule, as a general rule. But that isn't a term of the contract, just to be clear.
兄貴が綺麗にやってくれたならそれでいい。
Also, I think you are incapable of not complaining, all of you.
よっぽど
Except
ろくな
maybe
ことを
Rosa,
しなけりゃ
who doesn't speak,
俺たち
really.
はことを荒立てるつもりなんかねえんだぜ。俺たちだって早く遺産が欲しい。
お？
いつまでもグダグダして取りっぱぐれたくねえんだ。
公弁された場合の再調査は誰がするのかね。
兄さんでいいわ。多分これが兄弟で合議する最初で最後の機会だもの。そんなことにはならないと信じてる。
ローザもたまには言うわね。
It's crazy how many times since starting reading this I have just been accurate with what was to come next. By this point, it's obvious that Kraus wasn't at all trusted as the oldest sibling, but there's no need to go into detail. You already have. The former tyrannical oldest brother has always abused his privileges and violated the other siblings' shares. It was in response to this that the other three, now adults, were finally teaming up to strike back for the first time. Good for them.
申し訳ないが、条件はまだ続くんや。
Sorry, I want a Capri Sun, Hideyoshi.
条件5。
But wait, there's more. Our fifth
こ
condition.
の取り決めはお父さんの遺言状に優先する。後になってこの取り決めが保護になるような遺言が出てきちゃかなわんちゅうこっちゃな。
Ooh. I feel we've officially made it to actually... I think there's 1 A, B, C, D, and 2. Ooh.
入念じゃないか。
Yee.
なら質問だが、仮に本当に黄金が見つかった場合、どうするのかね。
それに対する支払いを兄貴が済ませてる以上、俺たちは本当に黄金が出てこようがどうでもいいことさ。俺たちの取り分は先払いってな感じになるわけだからな。
This is actually really good, because you're just paying out the value, but you also get to keep the gold. Do you see how that's really good for you, Rudolph? Or, not Rudolph. Oh, I was gonna say George. Fuck, your name's gonna come up on stream and... Kraus. You see how that's good for you, Kraus, or are you too dense to see that?
夢があっていいじゃない。この島をリゾート化するつもりなんでしょ。その工事の途中でひょっこり黄金が見つかるかもしれないじゃない。
Eva let out a high-pitched laugh. Kraus watched, but didn't even flinch.
条件に7をつけてもらおう。
Okay.
私以外の兄弟が黄金を発見した場合、速やかに私に引き渡すこと。
That's fair.
もちろん保証するわよ。
That's not what he said, Eva. Don't ruin this. That literally made so much... It was a play on words. Of course, the others, who were forcing Kraus to pay money for some non-existent gold, wouldn't save Kraus his portion if they actually found it. From the beginning, this deal had been nothing more than a threat directed at Kraus. Regardless of the actual facts, it is still extremely likely that Kraus was embezzling his father's assets. When Kinzo faced death at last, and his inheritance distributed to none of you, some unpleasant facts would surely come to light. That could easily become fatal to Kraus. Fatal? So it is the Italian mafia playing the most dangerous game on this island. The others had spotted this weak point and were threatening their brother under the veil of compromise, trying to wring a huge sum of money out of him. However, they had forgotten one thing. They'd forgotten that their brother's brain moved so swiftly, at least when it came to cunning and guile, that they'd be forced to band together to combat him. While Eva couldn't stop smiling, sure of her victory, Kraus let out a gloating laugh to show how relaxed he was. You know, whenever I'm relaxed, I go, ha ha ha. Then I make this face after. I go, "Please don't hurt me." Yeah, clearly the sound of a relaxed man.
とても良い話じゃないか。私もお前たちとの関係が疎遠になっていたことには非常に心を痛めていた。この条件を飲むことによって兄弟間の関係が再び有効なものにできるなら、それはとても嬉しいことだよ。喜んで話に乗らせてもらおうじゃないか。喜べローザ。
Just Rosa?
取引は成立だ。
Oh, Rosa is the one looking for understanding. Should have just pressed space that time. I could have figured that out. Rosa's expression dimmed. It was never a good sign when her brother started talking like this. Yeah. Eva also keenly picked up on this. I just think it's a bad sign whenever Kraus is on screen. I don't like that guy. He has a bad vibe. That's why she was unable to wipe away a sense of unease, even though Kraus had obediently accepted the deal. You didn't write it down, though. He doesn't seem like a guy so honor-bound. But also, is this contract even legal if he were to sign it? Like, it's not... At least, I don't know Japanese contract law, but... I don't know, man. My, how obedient of you. It's not like you at all, Nissan. Oh. My mom is outside.
あるわけもないさ。お前たちと同じだ。
Yes. Just the same as all of you. He seems to emphasize just that one part. The color of Rudolph's face darkened. To him, it sounded as though Kraus was saying, I have a plan similar to yours. So Rudolph panicked. He rushed to bring this nearly resolved discussion to a conclusion. Rudolph, this is why you're my least favorite. That's... Fuck, that's actually really funny. To try to just wrap this up, so then we're good then? Okay, you did write it down.
今の話を書き出した俺たちの誓約書だ。人数分ある。同じ内容に全員がサインする。
Rudolph took 4 written contracts out of his... What a tiny paper! Out of his breast pocket that had the details of their deal written on them.
クラウス兄さんの提案した条件7ももちろん今から追記するで。安心したってな。
兄貴、ペン使うか?
And offered it to Kraus. Rudolph took a fountain pen out of his breast pocket and offered it to Kraus. Is there ink in it? Kraus made as if to accept it, but then, with a small laugh, he drew back his hand without taking it and spoke.
実はこの取り決めを確かに履行するために1点だけ修正を提案したい。
On just one point? As soon as Kraus said that single sentence, all of his siblings felt as though something ominous was creeping up their backs at the same time.
ダメよ。もう決まった話よ。
Well, you've decided verbally. You didn't sign anything, and there was no third party in the room. There was no unbiased third party in the room to be able to execute just that verbal contract. So, no, Eva.
黙ってサインを。
Ow.
エヴァ、何を焦っているんだね。もちろんサインはする。
Of course I'll sign.
お前たちに黄金の分け前、75億円分を約束する。
Okay, just so many cats everywhere. Yeah. Okay.
親父殿の遺産分配の時、きれいさっぱり清算することも約束する。だが、1点だけ
But
ど
I
うしても
simply
譲歩してもらいたい
must
部分
insist
が
that you compromise on.
何の話だよ。 どの点が気に入らねえってんだ？
分け前の1割7億5000万円を即納する点だよ。
Absolutely not.
お前たちの指摘通り、私の財政状況は決して裕福ではない。今のこの時点では火の車であることは認めなければならない。
Don't take this deal, guys. Hey, guys. Just gonna say this. If he's not gonna pay you something right now, what makes you think he's gonna pay it later?
つまり、今すぐに動かせる金は全くないということだ。私は無能で詳細の嗅覚も鈍い。お前たちの言うところの弱り目の私には7億半も半年で動かせる力はないということだよ。
そんなはずはないでしょ。
Capri-sun gone.
いい加減なことを言ってこの場をごまかす気？
遺産分配時に全て一括で清算する。1割を即納する条件を削除したまえ。
No, don't do that.
それが私にサインさせるための唯一の条件だ。
Then there's no fucking deal. Because if you don't pay in advance, they shouldn't trust you.
クラウス兄さん、この1割はな、あくまでもお兄さんの誠意を図る数字なんやで。
Hideyoshi knows what I'm talking about.
本当なら取引の余地もない話や。そこを100歩譲った上で、とりあえず1割の誠意でこの場を丸く収めちゃるっちゅう大サービスなんやで。
Exactly.
そう説明した上でそこを断るっちゅうんは互いの信頼関係にちょいと影を
None
落
of
と
you
す
guys
と
like
ちゃい
each
ますか。
other already. Hideyoshi had a humble expression on his face and was rubbing his hands together. But his eyes weren't calm at all. Kraus had already seen through the shadows in the depths of those eyes.
お前たちは何を焦っているのかね。
They're in dire financial straits.
それとも何に怯えているのかね。ローザ、私にだけは教えてくれんかね。他の兄弟たちには内緒でこっそりと。
Don't love that.
別に私は
He's gonna try to pit you against each other, guys. Use your brains.
よせよ兄貴。俺たちは兄貴がサインするかしないかしか聞いてない。妙な勘繰りも交渉もなしで。
ほう。私には交渉の余地もないと。立場が弱いのは私の方で公平な関係ではないとそう言いたいのかね。
Yes? A shiver begins to crawl up Rudolph's back. He began to feel himself getting overwhelmed by the height of his brother's completely insuperable wall and the long shadows that had existed since they were children. Well, your older brother sucks, but you do suck more, Rudolph.
取引は公平な関係であるべきじゃないのかね。
Is Kieri still in the room? It's crazy to me that I keep remembering Kieri's in this room before Rosa.
この取引は私にとっては弟や妹たちと長いことを失ってきた信頼を取り戻し兄弟愛を深め合うもの。
Not without the money, man.
それは私にとって緊急に解決したかった心のしこりだ。それが今日解決できてとても嬉しいと思う。
I don't like your eyes, they're shifty.
だがお前たちもこの取引を急ぎ締結することがとても嬉しいんじゃないのかね。
Kraus stared at each of his siblings. They avoided his gaze with animal-like instinct. Only Hideyoshi was slow in avoiding it. So he caught by Kraus's gaze.
秀吉兄さん、あなたの会社非常に好調子だそうじゃないですか。トントン拍子で上場を果たし、業績も株価も右肩上がり。実にお羨ましいことです。
うちの人の話は関係ないでしょ。
だが株主たちに対する還元を怠ったのが悪かった。
How do you get news on this island?
そして上場した時に足回りを固めきらなかったのもまずかった。気づいた時にはタチの悪い連中に自社株をだいぶ買い集められていたらしいじゃないですか。
なんでそんな話知っとるんや。
秀吉さんと同じですよ。私に融資する人間などいないと裏を取れる程度に、私も秀吉さんの裏を取れるのです。
Yeah, but you live on a remote island.
そんな不思議があることはないじゃないですか。
You live on a remote island, and I guess no one wants to talk to you, by the way, Kraus, because no one likes you? Kraus grinned broadly. Don't love that. In contrast, Hideyoshi's face was rapidly turning pale. Hideyoshi's company was a restaurant chain management company that he'd started from nothing. Thanks to Hideyoshi's management efforts, the company had achieved success repeatedly, expanding its range and petitioned to make a stock-listed company that recently succeeded. The great advantage of being in the stockholding system is that you can sell stock certificates and gain a large amount of financing. The amount tends to be far greater than the business's normal profits. So this is an extremely effective way to gather massive funds to expand a business even further. However, in exchange for financing the company, the stockholders gain certain rights. They're given rights to allow them to observe and guide the company they've invested in, leading to profits even greater than their original investment. This is a right guaranteed to the stockholders, and they sometimes use it to dismiss ineffectual management. The right allows them to keep an eye on management and prevent the money they've invested on the company from going to waste. However, if they use it forcibly, they can eject the former management and take over the company. If they have a majority share, did Hideyoshi give up a majority share? After all, dismissing management and nominating a new management are powerful held by the general body of all shareholders. The power is determined by the majority decision of the stockholders, and people who hold more stock get to cast more votes. In other words, if some person of the group or the majority stock can freely chase out the old management and make the president anyone they'd like if they want, it's also possible for them to make themselves president. Most companies take various defensive measures to stop malicious people from buying up their stocks and threatening their position, like ensuring that lots of stock is bought by those close to them, such as company employees. However, Hideyoshi's company had only recently become stock listed, and he hadn't had time to strengthen those defensive measures. Or maybe Hideyoshi was so engrossed in the management of his company that he couldn't properly understand the dangers of being stock listed. It's hard to say whether he should be viewed as a kind-hearted manager immersed in the work of management or a foolish manager who had his feet swept out from under him. In other words, there existed some people who wouldn't let him get away with that naivety unscathed. They began rapidly buying up stock in Hideyoshi's company, rapidly gaining such strength that they couldn't be ignored. They then sent anonymous documents to the shareholders in an attempt to gain control of a majority. The document read, "The current management continues to make pointless investments and is ignoring the needs of the stockholders. Let us force the current management to retire, cut the current wasted investments, and let the company be born again as one that gives more back to the stockholders." It's very difficult to make an actual statement of a company's management known. The fruits of Hideyoshi's sleepless nights and constant concern for his companies were cruelly distorted, and he had lost the trust of his stockholders. Thanks to these efforts, the group had almost collected a majority of the company's stocks. At this point, even Hideyoshi noticed and started to buy back the stock, but the stockholders realized that the company was undergoing an acquisition maneuver, and each demanded a ridiculous price for the shares that Hideyoshi was trying to buy back. They continually tortured Hideyoshi, who had no leeway in the negotiation of the price. One of the certainties of capitalism is that the price will rise when two parties vie for the same thing. And one of the certainties of democracy is that the majority controls everything. Incorrect. And so in the end, everyone manages to buy up the most stock wins. It's actually more of a parliamentary system than a democracy that guarantees that the majority will hold would be able to make decisions, but even then, even less so. In a case of like direct democracy, I guess that's correct, but direct democracy is like a pipe dream to ever achieve. Like, I'm trying to think of like an example of like direct democracy. Well, that's obviously like voting on like ballot initiatives. You guys don't care, actually. I need the pee. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Ooh. I was sitting on my foot. That's why my foot hurts. Unless Hideyoshi could obtain a large sum of money at this critical time, he could easily lose all he had built so far. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted to add a lot of money right now. He couldn't wait for the division of Kinzo's inheritance since no one knew when he would die.
ルドルフの方も最近は大変だそうじゃないかね。海外は怖いとよく言うが、本当にそうらしいな。アメリカの裁判は極めて感情的に決まる。彼らは外国人に寛大な判決など出しはしない。
Yeah, that's true.
先方と和解した方が結局は安上がりになると弁護士に忠告を受けたんじゃないのかね。
何の話？
Kiri is still in the room.
まあ仕事上のトラブルさ。
And you haven't communicated it with your wife!
大したことじゃない。
Rudolph, oh my god!
金で切りのつく話さ。
Kiri immediately guessed the meaning behind the subtle expression on Rudolph's face. Her husband had gotten wrapped up in some kind of trouble without her knowledge and had been worrying over it alone.
その通りさ。世の中なんだって金で蹴りがつく。失った兄弟の絆だって買い戻せるようにな。アメリカは権利侵害などにはうるさい国だ。
Honestly, we are kind of, not right now. Actually, people are championing the fact that our rights are being violated very often, and we're kind of just like, we're in a fascist nation, actually. I, like, kind of no there's no, like, ifs, ands, or buts about it, like, and, like, people like that for some reason. I guess, like, historically, fascists at least improved the material conditions of their base, and that didn't even happen now. Everything sucks. Everything sucks. Because fascism works best when you can ignore, when your material conditions are something you are comfortable with and can ignore the facts that all of your rights are being taken away and violated. But that isn't even happening here. Anyway. Yeah, the president does take bribes, so yeah. I wouldn't say that. Rudolph has been building a large amount of wealth with a certain type of niche industry. However, a niche is a niche. It definitely wasn't a business exposed to the light of day. Okay. An American corporate giant was trying to accuse Rudolph's company of violating their rights. For various reasons, it was though the victory for Rudolph in this trial would be extremely unlikely, and he was forced into an all-out surrender. But even so, there was a way to do this to be resolved with money. If he could just pay that money, it might still be painful, but he'd be able to pick himself back up. But if he didn't pay, he'd lose everything. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. Yeah. Let's go, Rosa.
お人よしな将軍が災いしたんじゃないかね。連帯保証人は気安く引き受けるものではないと思うがね。
Girl.
それはクラス兄さんとは関係ない。
Rosa uncharacteristically laid bare her emotions and yelled. After all, no one was supposed to know that. As Kraus watched, he let slip a muffled laugh. Without exception, for every one of them, more than anything else, wanted a lot of money right now. In other words, the situation had been reversed. After all, the person the youngest siblings were threatening was the only one who had no urgent need for a large sum of money. The other three, however, wanted a lot of money quickly, no matter the cost. In other words, the longer it took to establish this deal, the better position Kraus would be in. Kraus was extremely sly. I think he's a blubbering fucking idiot. He had known of their Achilles heels from the beginning. Cool. Though, let me go back. None of them are in risk of going to jail or have committed a crime. All they have to do is, like, get an audit of your financial situation and everything you have falls apart. Like, they can kind of, like, there's no way Hideyoshi doesn't have a golden parachute. And he still has a lot of stock in a very, in a very well-regarded company. You can sell that out. Rudolph is dealing... Rudolph kind of needs to... I don't know if this is something he can actually do, but he could just declare bankruptcy in the United States and kind of have no repercussions from that, assuming... not knowing what his assets are, but he's really just fucked in the United States. And, Rosa's stuff, I guess she has bad credit, but credit doesn't matter if you pay everything in cash. Even so, he had not been certain. Therefore, he had hidden his knowledge until the very end, striking back only after analyzing their attitudes.
私もできることなら 可愛い弟や妹たちの危機に金を工面してやりたいと思っているよ。だが残念なことに持ち合わせがなくてね。7億半もの大金が工面できるスポンサーに心当たりがあるなら、先にそちらを当たってもらいたいのだよ。
You know, Kraus is putting in a lot of effort to be my least favorite man and person in this series. Like, Rudolph, it's really hard to get on Rudolph's level, but he's digging fast and digging deep. Kraus's elated words were so obviously detached from what he actually felt. The other siblings could do nothing more than listen, grinding their teeth. If they could think of a sponsor that convenient, they wouldn't have kept up this charade. They had entered this huge battle specifically because they had exhausted all of their other options.
もしお前たちがどうしてもこの兄を頼りたいというなら、私の口利きでスポンサーを探してやってもよいのだ。
The Italian Mafia.
おっと、私にはそんなものはいないと言っていたか。
Which is true.
それではどうにもならんね。
You live on an isolated island. I don't like you. No good person laughs like that. Kraus' low, gloating laugh began to fill the parlor. The youngest sibling, who had been driving the oldest brother into a corner until a moment ago, could do nothing more than grimace at and grind their teeth.
冗談じゃないわ。兄さんに借りなんか作れるもんですか。冗談じゃない。冗談じゃない。
クラウス兄さんを頼ったらどう助けてくれ。
言ったではないか。私にできるのは他のスポンサーを探すだけだよ。もちろん利息を融通してもらえるようには最大限交渉するがね。
You suck. I don't like Mr. Capitalism. Like, why would I like him?
足元見やがって。
あなた。
Kiri's still in the room. Kiri, listen. You can fix this, right? Just... I like Kiri a lot, so I don't want Rudolph to die. But I'd be perfectly fine if Kraus died.
落ち着いて。
落ち着いてるぜ。俺は極めて冷静だぜ。
No, you are not.
クソったりが。
Kiri grabbed her husband's hand. But that action made him feel even more pitiful, so Rudolph shook it off. Kraus laughed as though watching something highly amusing.
こんな時、本当に親父殿の隠し黄金が見つかればいいんだがね。そうすればすぐに25億ずつをこの場で切り分けてやれるのだが、残念残念残念4億。非常に極めて実にどうしようもなく残念だ。今宵は兄弟みんなで酒を酌み交わしながら、ベアトリーチェの碑文の謎をみんなで解き明かしてみようじゃないかね。仲良し兄弟が4人揃えばきっと解けない謎はないはずさ。
I disagree. I think Rudolph would be dead weight, though. It's a lot of laugh. It's a lot of laugh. And then clock? No. Somehow no. Kinzo?
面白いことをする。
Quite an entertaining scheme.
それでその突きつけた条件というのは何か。
Okay, this is the past. Kinzo doesn't speak this nicely. Colonel?
クラウス様は黄金の発見を問わずにその分け前として。
Oh, maybe this is modern.
ルドルフ様、ローザ様に計75億円を支払うこと。
Maybe this is modern since canon has only been here for 2 years at this point. Maybe it's 5 actually. So this could be a throwback. So no, but this is modern though. Canon's giving information. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Mori pressed the M key for Moriarty, but also for mute. That isn't what. Well, Canon left.
Hi. クラウス様はそれをエヴァ様以下お三人が緊急に大金を用立てする必要があるためとカンパされました。
その程度のことはカンパできるのか。
Well, not everyone has a mirror on the wall, Kinzo, to ask which of my children are in the most debt of them all. And I still think the answer is Kraus.
中途半端に無能な男め。今はどうしている？
How can they know? Can Canon warg?
話は一度中断されました。
Yeah, they're gonna go get drunk and try to solve the riddle.
今はベアトリーチェ様の碑文の話をされています。
私の黄金がどこに隠されているのか、その謎を解こうとか。
はい。
Kinzo set down his spectacles and snorted.
奇跡の成就が先か。愚か者どもが黄金を暴くのが先か。実に見ものではないか。
Well, good news, they're gonna get drunk before they do that, so.
愚か者どもが我が謎を解き明かしたなら、その時は私のすべての敗北だ。我が屍を骨の一かけらまでしゃぶり尽くすがいい。愚か者どもの貪欲さが偉大なる魔法に奇跡を宿らせるのだ。だがもし、
Yet?
奇跡の成就が先だったなら、ベアトリーチェは再び蘇る。私が半生をかけて追い求めたあの美少が蘇るのだ。
Well, I have good news. You sold your soul to her. So you're gonna see her a lot in your afterlife.
おー、ベアトリーチェ。奇跡を落とす聖なる夜がやってくるぞ。悪魔たちとのゲームが始まるぞ。私はきっと打ち勝つ。絶対に生き残る。他の奴らの命はくれてやる。富も名誉も財産も黄金も何もいらぬ。ただお前の微笑みがもう一度見たいだけなのだ。
Yes. Oof. Man, awful cough. Ooh. Did he fall? Kinzo choked, apparently in great pain. I'm sure that tone wasn't meant to be sarcastic. I did read it as sarcastic, though. Canon got closer and tried to pat his master's back, but Kinzo motioned for him to stop.
なぜ私が黄金の隠し場所をわざわざ人目に触れるように晒したかわかるか？
いえ。
It's behind the painting?
魔法の力はリスクで決まるからだ。
Wait, where could the gold be? Well, now I feel pissed. So we've seen the garden, the hut, sorry, not the hut, the shrine on the rock has disappeared. Maybe the rock is made of 10 tons of gold?
ベアトリーチェの黄金を暴こうとする人間が多ければ多いほど、その危険が高まれば高まるほどに、 それでもなお成就できたとき、魔法の力は偉大なる奇跡を起こせるのだ。
Okay, spitting facts,
魔法
Kenzo.
とはつまりゲームなのだよ。
Yes, Magic the Gathering is a game.
優れている者が勝者になるのではない。勝者には魔法が与えられ優れるのだ。わかるか？生命の奇跡が数億分の1という神々しい確率に勝利するからこそ与えられるようにな。
And you know, Kenzo has had a lot of luck in his gambles.
お前には少し難しいか。
申し訳ございません。
よい。
Ooh, maybe Cannon can warg, but only into light fixtures, which is why we pan up to light fixtures.
つまりはこういうことだ。
Also, there's no way 10 tons of golds are in these light fixtures, even though they're, like, gold, made of gold.
ベアトリーチェの碑文の謎を解いた者には、私が築き上げてきたすべてを与えよう。 富、名誉、黄金、そして後宮家の家督。私が築き上げてきたすべてだ。
Perfectly where the text box is, Usagi. Let me just... Whoop.
その謎に挑む資格があるのは何も私の息子たちだけとは限らぬ。
Your grandchildren also have the right to attempt the riddle.
たとえお前であっても、その謎を解けたなら全てを売る資格があるのだ。
Well, you said it was in an obvious place.
はい。
To Cannon, which made me think Cannon knew where the gold was.
ですが、
However, Cannon is honor bound not to take it because he has a different thing going on and knows that, and he doesn't want to make a deal with the devil.
僕にはあのような難しい謎は分かりかねます。
Never mind.
無論だ。難解に作った。だがお前も挑め。
For the power.
それが我が魔法の奇跡を呼ぶ糧となる。
Okay, but you work. Okay.
誰もが挑み、誰にも至れなかったら、その時はその時。だが奇跡が集い、魔法の力が生まれたなら、その時こそベアトリーチェが蘇るのだ。
Ay, ay, ay. Sorry, let me look at something real quick. Okay. That's why you attempted to.
誰もが挑め。そして我が魔法に力を捧げるのだ。わかるな。
はい。努力します。
Okay. Everyone's got to attempt the riddle. For a long while, Kinza repeatedly muttered to himself, agitated and clutching his head. My bet's on Kamasawa-san. Wait, no, just Kamasawa. Yeah, Kamasawa. I think she already knows the riddle. My money's on Maria. I only trust things Maria says. I bet she's gonna figure it out. That's where my money's at. You might think George has asked too many stupid questions of recently to solve this riddle. Cannon stayed where he was, alert and unmoving, until he was given the next order from his master. Kinzo eventually realized this.
もうよい、下がれ。酒棚に菓子の袋があろう。ダチンに持っていくがよい。
You see, you probably just shouldn't employ children. Because you don't teach them, you just... I know about another guy who takes children to remote. Okay.
結構です。
Oof.
僕は家具ですから。
Ooh, I forgot he says that. I forgot he says I am furniture. Okay. You're okay. Well, my couch tends to eat my remote a lot, so. Well, you made him laugh. That's good.
失礼いたします。
Cannon bowed and left the study. As the door closed, a heavy locking noise sounded out. But it was not the sound of Cannon locking the door. The door locking automatically. No one could enter without Kinzo's permission, and once they left, they could not enter again. It was a mechanism Kinzo, unable to trust his blood relatives, had created to seal himself up in his own study and isolated himself from the outside world. He was already unable to trust anyone excepting not the children who shared his blood, but those servants who called themselves furniture. But he wants them all to solve his riddle. Oh wait, no, I trust Genji. I don't trust the other guy. The guy who worked at a hotel. With a bitter laugh, Nanjo turned to face the door to the parlor. That look was apparently long enough to tell Genji that Nanjo wanted to say. For the most part, Genji also understood the family situation. It must have made him want to frown knowing that right now, in the lounge, the master he served was being discussed so disrespectfully. But it would have been very difficult to gather that from his indifferent expression. Nanjo looked at the portrait of Beatrice. No, he actually directed his gaze beneath the portrait at the plate with the epitaph.
私には親方様のお考えは分かりかねます。深いお考えがあってのこととお察しします。金蔵さんのチェスは昔から随分と遠大な読みで布石を打たれるものでした。いや、時には理解できない一手さえ。私ごとき凡庸では何を目論まれているのか。
Is this guy supposedly a genius?
私はこれを親方様の何かの遺言状ではないかと考えています。
Goodwill, bad will, just will, normal will.
それを理解できた者に財産や家督をお譲りになられようということなのでしょう。つまり私のようなよそ者に解かれてしまう前に。
That seems a bit kumbaya. But maybe.
兄弟4人で協力し合って謎を解け。金蔵さんは息子さんたちのことを口悪く罵ってはいますが、なんとか兄弟が仲を取り戻してほしいと願われているのかもしれません。
Nanjo, I think Kinzo likes you more than everyone else. Except Beatrice. And maybe his wife. His dead wife. Sorry, Genji. Certainly would be heartwarming if, as Nanjo had suggested, that this epitaph had been made to repair the siblings' relationship. You know, getting drunk and solving riddles probably is a good way to fix relationships. However, both Nanjo and Genji knew that nothing could be more impossible than this. Yeah. They'd known Kinzo longer than anyone, and Kinzo trusted them more than his own relatives. But even they could not guess at his true motives.
親方様は一族のものでなくとも、謎に挑む資格があると常々おっしゃっています。南條先生はいかがですか。
いやいや、この老いぼれには少々難解が過ぎますな。
I'm excited for them to reveal what this riddle is, for me to try to solve it.
実は以前この碑文を手帳に記しましてな。夜な夜な寝る前に挑んでみたのですが。
Ooh.
実に難しい。
Are we sure it means something and it's not just ramblings of an old man?
お迎えが来るまでの間、ゆっくり楽しむことができそうです。源氏さんこそいかがですか。
私めは親方様にお仕えする家具に過ぎません。
I wish they'd stop saying that.
黄金も財産も私には不要なもの。
やれやれ、本当に謙虚な方です。
In terms of you can't take it with you, you are the sole inheritor, Genji.
だからこそ金蔵さんもあなたには心を許されるのでしょう。
Again, this is something I read 9 years ago.
ならば光栄なことです。
Though obviously stuck with me. As Nanjo lightly laughed in response, he once again looked at the epitaph.
懐かしき故郷を貫く鮎の川。
Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown.
黄金鏡を目指す
You
者よ、
who's
これを下りて鍵を探せ。
Follow its path downstream in search of the key. The epitaph of the portrait called My Beloved Witch Beatrice goes as follows. Wait, I want to write this down actually. Let me put pencil to paper. Okay. Goes as follows. Okay. So, this is sort of what is started. We'll see. I'm gonna feel really stupid if there was nothing after the key thing, but there has to be. I'm gonna put sweet fish in parentheses because Kamasawa brings up a fish and she said it was in the dessert, even though that was the sour part of the dessert she brought up. But also, I think it's still worth noting. Running through my beloved hometown. You who seek the golden land. And then golden land is capitalized. So it's a proper noun. Follow its path downstream in search of the key. of the key. As you travel. Okay, there is more. Thank God. As you travel down it, you will see a village. In that village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. Interesting. I mean, it's in reference to the island, so we do know where the shore is. It's the dock. The two. But who are the two? And this was written 2 years ago. So that does put, that butler, that one servant who I don't like, could be one of them. There sleeps the key to the Golden Land. The one who obtains the tea must travel to the Golden Land in accordance with these rules. I've never had a poem that would then just start listing rules. Actually, there's probably a very famous one I'm not thinking of. And Mori, you knocked over the perfume that stops you from turning off my PC in the middle of me streaming. Don't do that. And he was about to step on the button too. He knocked it over and was gonna step on the button. And wow. He's a mean one. Mr. Grinch. The one who obtains the key, and only one can obtain the key, must then travel to the... Actually, fuck, the Golden Land's definitely this island. They're already at the Golden Land. Because this is the land where the gold is. So they... Never mind, my rule about only one being able to travel, I take that back. On the first twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. Okay. Interesting. And that would be... I'm gonna go... Everyone with the Ushiramiya last name is Kraus, Natsuhi. Eva did keep the last name with Hideyoshi. Then that leaves... Rudolph and Eva. I don't think Kiri would be a part of it, because she wasn't the first wife. Unless... No unless, actually. I was gonna say unless the wife died and was then a sacrifice, but I do not think... I had that thought, started to say it, and by the time I was about to finish the sentence, I realized that I was wrong. Sacrifice. Says, that's plural. On the second twilight. Okay. So this takes place over a few days. Wait, let me scroll back up. I forgot to add the rules part. I just forgot. These rules. And this doesn't feel like rules and more of a schedule. Second highlight. Those who remain shall tear apart the two who are close. Okay, that's Kiri. That's where Kiri is. Unless, because it's not 3 that are close, because if it was 3, I'd think the family who married in would be that, but it's only 2. Those who shall remain shall tear apart the two who shall. Unless that means Rosa and Maria. But I don't think it does. But it is a possibility. Okay. I don't know if it means close in reference to the key or close in reference to each other, but I think it might mean close in reference to each other, which then could mean Jessica and George. On the third twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name, which is going to be Beatrice. Which I think is going to end up being Battler Maria, because I don't think... Maybe. Actually, this author doesn't really pull punches with children who die. Main... Though, is Beatrice noble? Because the noble name would be Ushiromiya, but it could also be Beatrice. Because I would think noble name would refer to a last name. On the fourth, gouge the head and kill. Oh. What? That would be... Kinzo is probably. Dodge the head and kill. Oh! And then times 2? Maybe. I'm gonna put maybe times 2. Because it might have just... Oh, wait, no. I actually can't read. That says 5th, not 4th. On the 5th. I'm just gonna put chest and then 6 stomach. 7th knee, just the one knee though. Not to be confused with the leg, which happens on the 8th. Knees different than leg, noted. 9th, the witch shall revive and none shall be left alive. Okay. I'm gonna actually write that whole one out. So this doesn't necessarily seem like how you find the gold, and more so a way to trick people into doing these steps to get a revival from the witch, and not yeah. Left alive. Oh, never mind. There's more. Okay. This is a really long epitaph, isn't it? On the 10th. Twilight. Well, everyone's dead at this point. Unless you don't refer to yourself as someone. The journeys. And you shall attain the power of the Golden Land's treasures once and for the last time. So this, okay, so this makes sense to why, Kinzo only got the name from the Ushiromiya family after they all died in an earthquake. So it wasn't sort of the structure, but I do think that maybe he did end up sacrificing them to Beatrice to get this wealth. I think that's what happened the first time, and he cannot see her again, which is why he's so upset. I think this last line means that Kinzo did this. Whatever, he wrote down the lines of how he accumulated his wealth. That would make sense for it not being actual gold being held on the island. I think that's probably. And rather, the treasure is the revived Beatrice to grant the wish. And it makes sense that that last person wouldn't be thought as alive because they traded their soul. Oh, there's more actually. The witch. The witch. The witch isn't capitalized, but I capitalized it. Shall praise the Wise, which makes sense to already what I said. And bestow. For treasures. I'm going to say actually that the numbers of the first and second clue are going to be off, because I think he did this to a previous generation and it isn't in respect to this. Though I think 4 treasures might be the same. 1 shall be the gold from the Golden Land. Okay. I'm just gonna list them. 1 is gold. One is resurrection of all the dead. Okay, wait. So they're all just sort of dead for a second. They get to come back, except maybe the guy who we gouged all of the parts out of. The guy who we gouged the parts out of does have to be Kinzo, because Kinzo doesn't have a soul. 1 shall be the resurrection of the love. Lost. And is... Sorry, I need to write resurrection again, actually. Or else I'm gonna look at this in my spare time and be like, ah, wait, no, they lose love. No, it's a resurrection of love lost. And then put the witch to sleep for all time. Okay. This isn't actually instructions on how to... on where the gold is. The gold isn't real. This is instructions on how to get... on how to... for the ceremony to bring the witch back. Though she can't come back, which is... okay. Oh. This is probably the last line. Sleep. Well, you don't mean that actually, Kinzo, because you want to wake her up again, even though she said that she's gone forever and you'll never see her again. According to this. If this isn't the last line, I'm gonna be pissed, because... okay, thank God. Is that the end of chapter 1? To 3 o'clock. And this is going to be the...
第10の番に旅は終わり。
Okay, we're going to go to system, and then we're going to save. Oh no, this is still episode 1. But, oh, sorry, I thought we got to episode 2. I'm jumping the gun a bit. No, this is still episode 1. Okay, so we're actually going to exit. Oh wait, system exit. Nope. I know how to leave. I remember how to leave this. System title back. Yes. Return to the title screen. Much to think about. Happy to have finally gotten the poem. Thought maybe we were into chapter 2. We were not. We were not. Isn't that right, Mori? Isn't that right? You were very useful this whole time, and you didn't do anything wrong at all, ever. But thank you all so much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. Is there anyone else? Yeah. We'll do that. This is a different spot. Maybe I shouldn't have done this, but you know, it is what it is.